Evening all.
Hey everyone, Commander Josh Hawkins here, and welcome to the BroCast.
Welcome to the BroCast.
Welcome to the Sunday BroCast, and welcome back to the Sunday BroCast.
Go away, kid, you're bothering me.
We're on the ship.
And it is once again that time for the BroCast. The BroCast, and I'm sick. Welcome back to the BroCast. Welcome to the BroCast. Hard landing.
Oh, you bumped off.
We're in a hole.
I think we just f***ed up Josh.
No, we should.
To each
Oh
other
my
as well.
god, you can't be serious.
Oh, not again. Get out of there, man.
The creator needs souls. Feed the creator.
Creator needs souls.
Feed the creator. And welcome back to the BroCast.
That was like, I want to talk, let me talk. So, that was like, all right.
Welcome to the BroCast. Commander Josh Hawkins here. Hey, Obsidian Ant. Welcome back.
That was a question at an opportune time there, didn't it?
Welcome to the BroCast.
Just because I found something, but...
The search will continue.
I'm on Shibuka's ship. Oh! And just like the last live stream, it ends with my vehicle being destroyed.
Shoot it. Shoot the bloody hawk.
Murica.
Hey everyone, it's Sunday, it's that time again. Welcome to the BroCast. My name is Commander Josh Hawkins, and today we have a special show for you. Let me introduce you to our crew. I am joined by Commander Turgeon Starstone. I almost said Turgeon Grey Test.
Little did you guys know, Greatness have been having an affair.
they're having their own baby, Turgeon Grey Test.
Yes.
So let's try that again. We're joined by Commander
Greystone.
Turgeon Starstone,
Welcome, people.
Commander Grey Test,
Hello, Neon.
and Commander Shibuka.
Hola!
And it's going to be a heck of a show today. We've got some very exciting stuff going on. We are going to be joined a little bit later on by a special guest, as you can see, right up here, there. There we go. There it is. Drew Wagar, with the wonderful caricature by Turgeon Starstone, of course, to join in with the rest of us that are behind my chair. And we also have there it is, some exciting news to announce. So stick around because we do have some exciting news to announce in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and put on the proper overlay here and say hello to the people in the chat. Oh, actually, holy moly, I don't know if I can say hello to all the people in the chat because there's so many people in the chat. Let's just say hi to everyone, and thanks for joining in for the BroCast this Sunday. And let me just very quickly mention before we go any further that if you are new to the BroCast, if you have not yet been on the show, this is the best time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and thumbs up because we have a great show in store for you, and we're going to be doing lots of entertaining over the next 3 hours. How are you guys doing, by the way? Great test.
I'm excited.
Excited? Yeah.
Yes.
Tired and...
It's been fanboy central in this room all day.
Oh, yeah. And tinfoil central as well.
Tinfoil. Well, I'm not
Tinfoil
wearing any
mental,
tinfoil
rather.
today, but I'm gonna let Shibuka and Grey Test do all the tinfoiling
Oh
because
man, I've got my tinfoil mummy outfit going on right now, so I'll be good for the next 3 hours.
yeah, I think.
Hope you
should
didn't
be
forget
good.
the drainage pipe.
Oh, I've got it all taken care of. We're all good.
You're doing it Tom Green style, right? Just the tube coming out from under the tinfoil. Yeah, should be good. Oh, what are they saying? Still in the green room. Uh-oh. Hang on one
We're
second.
always in the green room, like I
We
said.
are always in the green room.
Every damn time.
That's what we do. It's
Shall we-
the live room.
Shall we move
No.
down to the live room? Okay.
No,
Yes.
because they want us to. We
Yeah.
should stay here.
Rebellion!
We should stay
Rebel!
here.
Rebel!
They
Resist.
can't stop us. Yeah.
You're right. We don't have to do that. Hey, Caleb Dark joined the Hawk Flock. There we go. Thanks for the sub and welcome to the Hawk Flock.
Is it already time to shoot the hawk?
I think it's already time
No,
to shoot the
don't
hawk.
shoot the Hawk. Look, don't
There's
shoot the
a
Hawk.
target
Yes,
on your
shoot the
back.
hawk.
I don't know
There's
if
a
I can
target.
turn around and show
Yeah,
this.
you've got a target sitting there.
Well, hold on. I got to show the front of the shirt since you guys haven't seen this. This is the shirt that I made special
Yeah.
for the BroCast, and yeah, hang on just one sec. Let me just stand up here a little bit and show this off.
Dear Lord.
Don't shoot the hawk. But our deal for not shooting the hawk was 3 beers, and I see only 2 there. So, this.
Well, there. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, Turgeon, for that new custom shooting the hawk sound. And there's
Special one.
my new shirt
Just
that I made with the hawk flock right on the front. And as I showed in Twitter the other day, although I don't know how easy it's going to be to show off the back of the shirt while I'm on the live stream because it's a little hard to turn around in my chair. But let's see if I can show off the back here real quick.
I just want everyone to join me in realizing how lame this is. I mean, Josh.
Please don't shoot me, sir.
Oh, come on. How could you guys not like that?
Don't shoot me, sir.
I'm sure that
Please.
Shibuka, you're the only one who's criticizing the shirt. Everyone else is going to like it.
I'm not sure about that.
This shirt is to represent all of you guys and girls and boys and girls and children of all ages who are watching the show and who've supported us for the past, I don't know, how long have we been doing the show now?
It's been 7 or 8 months now.
7 or 8
Ever.
months? No, I think it feels like it's been more than 7 or 8 months.
It's got to be close to a year.
We're going on close to a year. So
No, I got to Beagle Point in April, and we met up on my way
just
back.
after that. So it was sometime
So
in
I
May.
think it was May. Yeah, I think it was May we started the BroCast.
So we are almost coming up on a year. When we get to a year, we're going to have some type of special BroCast. Maybe.
Oh yeah, there'll be something.
Maybe we'll have Turgeon and Greytest and Shibuka all on video as well, and we'll squeeze their little
Powerhouse
faces
is
on here.
disappointed in the shirt.
What? Hashtag shoot the hawk. Oh, and General Ghost is saying also, you four suck.
Powerhouse, be careful. You're drawing the wrath of Josh's wife.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
The wrath of Shannon Day.
Yeah, she said that you got to watch out for her because she's dangerous. Actually, she's in the basement right now, and I walked down there to see what she was doing because I wanted to say, hey, honey, don't start streaming or downloading any videos while I'm doing the BroCast today because I don't want there to be any YouTube problems. And I go down, and what is she doing? She's working out on the Xbox with the Kinect controller, and there's a bunch of different like fitness programs on there, but the one she's doing is a zombie apocalypse fitness one. So Matthew T.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks for the sub. So it's literally there's like 3 people and they're standing in like this apocalyptic setting, and they're doing exercises which is supposed to represent their training for the zombie apocalypse, and part of the exercise is like pushing zombies out of the way, and the Kinect basically
What?
it's really cool, and it gives you points, and you see like your profile. I was thinking, if you're gonna do cardio or any type of workout, it's the best way to do it. Zombie apocalypse workout.
I can't. What?
Yeah, you
She-
have to have
she's-
you need to connect. You don't
she's
have a Connect on
practiced-
your Xbox, do you?
Just watch out.
No, because it never really works.
Well, you're
Kinect was
doing it
kind of the
wrong.
Downfall of the Xbox, but that is neither here nor there. That is a can of worms for a whole nother day. My thoughts on the Kinect. But anyway,
Proximal gaming, but
and-
hashtag.
Moving swiftly on.
Hold on. Hashtag Hawks
Yes.
are friends, not targets. Thank you, Proximal Gaming. It's true. Hawks are friends, not targets. Don't shoot the hawk. Yeah.
oh man. In Elite Dangerous related news this week, something interesting was
actually.
announced on Friday
Get this
What
show
could that
back
be?
on track.
that
Thank you.
has a lot of us super excited. Some of you know why.
I have
But,
no idea. Tell us, Shibuka.
The multi-crew beta is coming end of February.
Oh my
Dun,
god.
dun, dun.
Oh my
And-
god.
Good Lord Almighty, is it an
Yes,
exciting
I've
time
got
to
a
play
dun
Elite.
dun dun. I've got one. There you go.
Yes, it is. Exciting time to play Elite. And I have right here, actually, an image that I wanted to show because I wanted to discuss this a little bit. Let's see if I can pull this image up first. Whoa, too big. Hold on. Let's fit it to screen. There we go.
Trying really hard not to say it.
Okay, so this was you don't have to say it. So this was the sort of preview image that came out quite some time ago when they announced the commanders. Now I know it's taken up the whole screen here, but that's okay because I want to kind of zoom in on a couple of parts of this, and then we can talk about multi-crew a little bit more while this image is on the screen, because this is the multi-crew sort of sneak peek image that they put out. And what I noticed when I was inspecting this image a little bit more is that I think we can get a little bit of an idea as to what type of things we might expect from multi-crew. So bear with me here a moment. I can move this around, but I'm going to just zoom in on a couple of parts. So first of all, what we do know about multi-crew right now is that multi-crew is going to be mostly focused on combat, right?
Yes.
For the first part,
Well,
probably, yeah.
Turgeon?
Well,
This is when I need the sad trombone to play, please.
Yeah.
Let me
Yes,
try it
it's always
again.
about
Let's try it
the
again.
combat. All right.
Multi-crew
Okay.
is going to be mostly about combat.
Try that one instead.
Yeah. I agree. That's kind of how I feel too, which is unfortunate, but hey, you know what? They got to start somewhere. And a lot of
It's
stuff.
a concept. We don't really know
is a
what's going to
concept.
be in-game.
So
Yeah.
let me show you something. I'm going to just try my best to zoom in on this screen a little bit here using OBS. But this is kind of what I wanted to point out. Look at this commander sitting in the chair and check out the 1, 2, 3. It's backwards, obviously, because it's facing her, or I'm assuming that's a her. Kind of looks like a her.
Yeah.
Or a very
That's definitely a
feminine.
her.
I say they're all tricologically challenged, but yes.
Now, you see there is like a hand-drawn sketch of 3 little boxes. It says 1, 2, 3, and it looks like those are turrets, obviously. One of them is highlighted blue, and the other 2 are orange. And she has like this target locked and some kind of funky interface where it looks like she's actually aiming at the ship that they have targeted. So I have a feeling that what we're seeing here is that one person is going to be able to control turrets. What are they going?
That's what I was looking like.
That's what
Or
it's looking
those are
like,
little
right?
little ships SketchUps.
Little shit SketchUps.
Ship SketchUps, and those are 3 targets she can select on quick, basically.
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. They kind of look like turrets to me. I mean,
Looks like she's flicking bullets there with her fingers, and that's what's coming straight out.
it does.
This all has a very Tony Stark feel to me.
It does.
It is a bit, yeah.
But you
Which
notice
I like it though. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. And I mean, it's not unrealistic to think that this part of the sketch is maybe a mock-up for what
It's
we'll
all a
see,
little,
right?
a little bit too late though, because the whole cockpit appears to be full of sparks and explosions. So you know,
Yeah.
Now-
Well, this is definitely. I would say this might even be early concept because
yeah,
we're looking
very
at
early
we're
concept.
looking at a cutter, and look at the seats. This is
Mhm.
before they fixed the seats in the Imperial ships. Those are your standard
Yeah. Now,
standard ship seats.
I'm gonna zoom in even more here, and try to take a look at
Enhance.
what's going on in the back.
Enhance
Yeah,
even more.
enhance. So what are we
enhanced
seeing?
34 through 36.
What are we seeing in the back here? It looks to me like this guy in the back is controlling systems, right?
I feel like that'd be your engineer
Shields.
right there. That's your
Shields.
engineer.
Because
Yeah.
you see that red blip on the ship, that's exactly where the ship on the outside is currently hitting the cutter.
Yep. And it does look like there's some type of shield control there. And in fact, that would make sense because if you look on the outside, where you see this Cobra coming in and shooting at the top of the ship, you could see that there's like a shield just on the top of the ship. So I'm wondering if that could somehow be like directional shield controls. So maybe this is what we have in store for us. We have one guy
I would
controlling
love
shields. We have one person controlling the weapons, and possibly, who knows, maybe there's like an overload of the turrets. I don't know. Actually, if you take a look here, and I can't make this out, maybe someone else could, but the top one that I think is a turret that's blue has words written next to it just by her hand, and I can only see a couple of the letters. I wasn't able to
I can
make
see
that out.
ED in the end.
Yeah, I saw ED, and I thought maybe it said locked, but it didn't look like
Yeah.
a K. I thought maybe it was like overloaded, but then that was too long to fit there. So I don't know what it is that's supposed to be there, but maybe someone else could fiddle around with the image and see if they can't sort of filter out a little bit more of what it is. I can tell you, though, she definitely has the ship that she's shooting here targeted in front of her, because this is the other one here, right? You have the world there, and you have your ship on the right-hand side. So there's a lot of interesting information in this image.
And she definitely has the cool.
She has the cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
The cool.
She's all like smug.
The cool.
I got this.
Yeah, and
G
something
cool.
something else I've noticed, and this might just be because it's concept art, but that guy in the back actually isn't part of like the main three sheets, the main three like chairs that are at the front of the ship.
Hold on,
So
let me bring
apparently
him up again one more time. Okay.
Yeah, so apparently the seats behind you can serve a purpose as well.
Hold on, I'm bringing this
Why
up.
not?
Because the pilot's in the middle. You've got the weapons specialist or whatever on the pilot's left. And then way back there in the back, you got somebody messing with
I would
engineering
say
stuff.
this makes sense because the
Yeah.
people in the front are the ones that need to see where like targets are, where the pilot has to fly the ship.
Yeah.
But the shield guy doesn't really have to see anything.
He
He just
doesn't
needs
need
to,
to. Yeah.
to observe
You're
the
bypassed
station.
like
Yep.
a Christmas tree, laddie. He's at the back.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Spock on the Enterprise and, Geordi down in engineering, they don't need to see what's going on outside. They're responsible for their science stations and their engineering stations. And I would love it if we had a science station for all of us explorers. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to...
Science.
Yeah, we need some science.
Damn right we do. Science guy's going to have something to do once we get
We've
multi-crew.
been echoing that for the last few months since Distant Worlds, really, possibly even since before that.
Yeah. Oh,
But
well.
we'll see what 2.4 maybe brings, or maybe there is a science station. Maybe there will
you
be
never
some new
know.
models. I think Shibuka earlier even fantasized about a new surprise ship being added.
Yes.
That would be
Well,
very
it's
cool.
I don't have any information, but part of me is really hoping that 2.3 like sometime like maybe before like the live release or something, Frontier is just like, hey, here's a new ship. And I want the boa so bad. Please, FDev, give us the boa.
Got to interrupt for a sec. Commander Garisu, thank you very much for the
Oh, that
donation.
noise.
Yeah, that was the heart
Ooh.
attack noise there. They blast my eardrums out. And there was a sub right before that as well, which I
Oh
didn't catch
dear
the name.
Lord.
Because I kind of
Keep it going.
jumped for a second there. But thank you very much. And speaking of donations, we will be doing a little donation of our own. We're going to be doing a giveaway during the show for one of Drew's books. So before we bring Drew Wagar on, let me just quickly announce this, that we will be doing a giveaway. We're going to have one of Drew's books is going to go to one of you lucky viewers right now, and I'd like to say it's going to be Reclamation, and we haven't really discussed this too much in detail with Drew, but maybe possibly Premonition and
Question mark?
and I think we may be able to get you an autographed copy. So
I will be
stick
entering
around.
this giveaway, and I will be entering about 10 million times. So
So definitely stick around because we are going to be doing a draw a little bit later on the show, and one of you lucky folks is going to take home one of Drew's books.
Hugan Tide's comment in chat there. We're going to put a book on a moon in a system, and you'll have to find it.
but to make it easier to find, you have to turn down all your graphic settings.
Yeah, and we're going to narrow it down to
Oh,
only a
10 out of 10 for
300
that one.
light year bubble. It's going to be somewhere in that 300 light year bubble.
One of those
Okay.
landable planets.
And the first person to find it and then bring it back without getting interdicted or blown up along the way, that's the person who's going to get the book.
Oh
Maybe
my
if it's
gosh.
implemented in the game yet.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, right.
Yeah,
Everyone's going to be searching for about 3 days, and they forgot to flip the switch.
Yeah, but hold on. FDev told us it was in the game since the very beginning, so it's got to be there, guys. It's got to be
You have
there.
to believe.
Just keep looking. You'll find it
man.
eventually. Yeah. That's
We
how
give
it's going
this
to go.
game a hard time because we love this game.
I saw
We
a
do.
question popped
We
up
do.
there that I want to just see if I could scroll up and find. It was from Rory, was it? Hang on, I'm just scrolling up here to see where it is. Oh god, the chat is going way too quick. Okay, well,
Hugan Tide's added another topper to that one. He says, spoiler, it's a copy of the previous book.
oh,
Wow, you guys are relentless.
Oh, that is great.
Okay, well, I don't know where the question went. It's kind of lost in here a little bit. But the question was, will Three Guys, One Ship begin filming once the beta goes live?
It depends on how well implemented the beta is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think
But
that's the first
the thought process right now is yes, Three Guys, One Ship will begin
the
filming.
inverted commas plan. Anyway.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is the plan. And
Yes. And for everyone who is listening or watching or whatever and doesn't know what Three Guys, One Ship is,
bad luck.
yeah, for real.
do we
Josh,
we have an image of that somewhere?
I can throw another one up in admin.
Yeah, throw that up in admin. I'll just put it up here real quick.
Well, all we had is the text one, or that.
Yeah, just the text.
One.
That's all anybody's
There's
getting.
that ridiculous one that I knocked up.
That's all. Okay,
Which is
well, here,
very
I'll save it.
representative.
I'll
Yeah,
save it anyhow. Just
but,
'cause.
it's Three
The
Guys, One
return of
Ship.
Magic
Celebrant
Josh,
says,
yes.
yeah, 3 guys, 1 potato, and 1 ship. Celebrant says.
There you go. There you go.
Let's see if this actually works. No, that didn't work at all. Position, size, fit to screen, please. There we go.
Whatever does.
3 guys, 1 ship.
Well, that was worth waiting
Absolutely, it was worth the wait. There it is.
Tony
Well
Jackson,
done.
Guys,
Awesome.
Arise instances.
Yes.
The 3 guys, 1 ship. Shibuka, how about, since you've done
Various
a
instances,
large
yeah.
majority of the work on the script for this, why don't you go ahead and
Yeah.
tell people what that is exactly?
Yeah, Three Guys, One Ship. It's a story-based YouTube series that'll be coming out hopefully spring/summer of this year. We've been working on it since June of last year.
Yeah, pretty much.
It must be.
We've been working on it since June of last year. It's all the way written. Of course, everything's probably going to change on the way. But
Still going to be
but
rewritten. Yep.
no more news on that for now. You guys are going to have to wait.
All right. And
But-
I guess in the spirit of talking about stories, let's just do a very quick introduction of who we are, so that anyone who's watching right now, isn't just going, oh, well, are these guys just a bunch of really cool guys that talk about Elite Dangerous? No, we're not. We do more than just talk about Elite Dangerous.
Cool.
We'll start
We're not
off.
even that, yeah.
Shibuka just introduced 3 Guys, 1 Ship. Shibuka is the producer of the Distant Worlds Expedition video series that followed the Distant Worlds Expedition basically 1 year ago, today pretty much, and you can go to his channel and check out all of the Distant Worlds Expedition videos from beginning to end. He also is the producer of a series called Legacy, which is a tie-in series to Commander Turgeon Starstone and my own YouTube channel, which is a series that features a bad guy, which is a really cool twist on what we normally see for any type of video series for Elite Dangerous. Turgeon is another YouTube channel producer as well, and a content creator for Elite Dangerous. He produces something called Turgeon's Travels, so there's a link in the description there that you can go check out as well for Turgeon's channel. Turgeon's Travels has been going on for quite some time. It's well into the 20-plus number of episodes.
Yeah,
And
29 is the next one.
Almost at 30. Turgeon's Travels is a comedic series that includes Mr. Turgeon Starstone here as the pilot of a ship joined by several AI and all of the shenanigans that he gets into.
People seem to describe it as somewhere between The Hitchhiker's Guide and Red Dwarf.
Hitchhiker's Guide and Red Dwarf is
That's
an
what
apt
people have said to
description.
me about it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
somewhere
With a
between
pinch of alcohol.
with,
Yeah,
with a hint of alcohol.
That's
With a hint of alcohol and maybe a little onion head in there as well.
A drop of rum.
A drop of rum. And on my YouTube channel, well, you'll find patch notes, update notes, videos on anything new that comes out in Elite Dangerous. And you'll also find a YouTube series for Elite Dangerous called Exploring the Milky Way Galaxy, which is my story series that started off with the adventures of Commander Josh Hawkins, who goes off exploring space and then finds himself in a very interesting sort of situation. I don't want to give it away if you haven't watched it. You certainly will want to start from the beginning. It's 18 episodes currently, with episode 19 coming soon. TM, I've been saying that for like 6 months now, but it
really is
coming
soon now, though.
It actually is. We can say that for sure. Episode 19 will be coming soon, and then once that episode is out of the way, then the rest of them will just flow naturally into their proper order.
After Legacy 5.
After
the
Legacy
finale.
5, that's right. Legacy 5
In
will sort of...
other news,
So, that's who we are. And,
Moving on.
Moving on. As you can see from the overlay right over here, we are going to be joined in just a little while by author of Reclamation, the Elite Dangerous book, Drew Wagar. And we're very excited to have Drew on. And before we get Drew on, there's a couple things I want to show here very quickly. I have a video that we're going to show now, and then we're going to show one more video before we bring Drew onto the show after. But let me pull up one video here real quick. This is, yes, okay, so this is the one that I want to show, I think. Let's see. Drew's videos. There we go. And let's play this one. This is the science fiction book trailer for Drew Wagar's book, Elite Reclamation. So here we go. Let's watch this. Volume is good. Yeah, there we go. Can I narrate it? 3300 AD. So there is, I missed Station with Frontier. Fantastic Books Publishing. Oh, here, we'll put it back on real quick. War Machines, music by Martin M. DrewWagar.com. So I've actually got that linked in the description for the channel, of course, that if you would like to go and take a look at that right away, you can head over to drewwagar.com. The description, or it's in the description there. You can click on that and check out all of Drew's work and his books and all of that good stuff. And we'll have Drew on in just a little bit here, where we'll be talking about his books, his upcoming book, Premonition, and as well the Formadine Rift. I think we have a lot of questions regarding the Formadine Rift, because a lot's been happening with the Formadine
people in
Rift.
chat
my
are
gosh.
itching for questions.
They are.
I bet they are.
They want to get cracking.
They want to get
Cracking with questions, lads. They do.
Cracking with the questions. Well, guys, you won't
questions,
have
come
to
on.
wait too much longer. I'd say 10, maybe 15 more minutes tops. We'll have Drew in here, and then you guys can ask him your questions, and we will put out a special time where we'll ask you to put your questions in the chat so that we can go ahead and get to them. Don't put them in there now, because they're going to get lost in all of the chat, and yeah, we won't get around to them. But we also do have in our Discord, which Turgeon, if you can go ahead and link that in the the chat there. We have a Discord channel where you guys can all join in, of course, and put your questions in the Discord channel because we have a channel set up just for that, as a matter of fact. It says questions for Drew, I think it is. So put your questions in there if you don't want them to be lost, and we will check back there, although we've already gone through that mostly. If there's new questions, we'll go ahead and take a look and see if we can squeeze those in during our Q&A session with Drew Wagar shortly. So,
oh, man.
What else do we need to talk about before we bring Drew on?
Well, I just want to say I finished rereading Elite Reclamation today and enjoyed it just as much, if not more, the second time. Especially now that all this stuff has been going on in the game, and I can kind of see some of the directions that the game has taken since the last time I read it, and kind of connect a few dots. It's been awesome.
I had the pleasure to actually read the book for the first time in preparation. I actually did some preparation for this show. That's something very new.
Preparation
And cramming, yeah.
I was lucky enough to experience like the whole thing. It added so much depth to the game. Like reading the story and reading Altera, a short story by Drew Wagar afterwards, and then just reading up on all the mysteries, for example, by the Children of Raxla, their documents. It was so entertaining and so exciting what unfolds in front of you.
And I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
Very jealous.
It makes the whole world of Elite just seem that much more lived in, and that much more alive.
It literally adds a personal depth to the galaxy.
Yeah.
Because it does feel a bit cold and impersonal sometimes, the Elite Galaxy.
Yeah.
Well,
and works like that add that
And
necessary
of course, it
emotional,
adds
personal
the
depth.
extra touch of tinfoilery to the game.
Of course.
Oh my
You can never have too much tinfoil
Didn't
into it.
have enough.
Brandon Woods just joined the Hawk Flock. Thanks for the sub, Brandon, and welcome. I wanted so badly to download the audiobook and listen to it while I was playing this week because I had a bit of extra time and I figured it would be perfect to just listen to the audiobook while I was flying around and doing some exploration and capturing footage for some future videos. But as I had mentioned in a previous live stream, my credit card had been frauded just last week, and so I didn't have any way of buying it online because my damn credit card my new one hadn't arrived yet. So Greytest got to read it, Shibuka's read it, and Turgeon, I don't believe you've read Reclamation. I think you and I are kind of in
not read that one
in
yet.
that same boat.
Still that nebulous boat, yeah.
That nebulous boat, yes.
It's on my to-do list.
It's on my to-do list as well, and I certainly, now that I've got my new credit card, now I can go ahead and get that online and add that into my repertoire so I have something else to listen to. Pluton has joined the Hawk Flock. Thanks for the sub, Pluton, and welcome to the Hawk Flock. And
It's time to shoot some people, isn't it?
I think it is.
Say hello to my little friend.
God, that hawk is so annoying.
I don't know what's more annoying. I love how the hawk is annoying.
Or the
The hawk
goblin
lasts
turkey
like
being shot. Either
2
way.
seconds. Nobody's like, shoot the Andra.
Oh,
The AI that wants to kill the Hawk Flock members. No, nothing wrong with that. No. Nothing at all.
Elite Alien had just asked you what happened to your asp. Well, Turgeon so gracefully gave Josh the nickname Commander 40% yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, Commander 40%. Well, you would have had
There
to be
might have been an
watching-
incident.
Yeah,
He keeps having "this is fine" moments.
that was on a live stream that happened as well. So I don't remember
was.
which live stream that was. This is why when we're like, oh, what should we do in the background?
Like
well,
3 or 4 weeks ago.
yeah. I'll just fly my asp. I'll just explore on my main account while we're doing that. And I saw this beautiful star system with like 2 stars basically right next to each other. One was just a tiny little one. The other one was a giant one. And I flew up in between them and went into debug for a beauty shot. And of course, you know, when you're in debug camera, you can't see that your ship is catching on fire and bursting into flames. And I came back, and that's exactly what was happening: catching on fire, bursting into flames. The
Are we
things
going to talk about the very last controversy, the very recent one that came up with Elite Dangerous and FDF?
Yes, let's talk about that because I want to rant.
Yes, please go ahead.
If we talk about it now, we'll have to limit our rants time-wise, and that's a good thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will limit my rant. Okay, so here it is. As many of you know, the alien runes, according to Ramta, there have been several new alien runes discovered by him, which I also kind of want to just point out one thing, and this is a little off topic. I did put out a live stream the day that Ramta made the announcement, and it was in Galnet News, and there was like a new mention for people joining in, or when you join into the game. It said Ramta has discovered new sites. So I made a thumbnail that says new sites discovered, and I got a lot of flack for that. People were saying I was clickbaiting, and people were saying that I was being misleading, and I want to apologize because the title was not meant to be misleading. It literally said the exact same thing in Galnet. Thanks, Dutch Foster, for joining the Hawk Flock. Welcome. Thank you for the sub. It said that exact same thing in Galnet. So for those of you who are criticizing me for being clickbait titling, I apologize, but that was not the intention. I was just saying what it said in Galnet, and I said very clearly in the description that we were going to go and try to find them, and that they had not yet been found. I even said that right at the very beginning of the video, so I apologize, but blame it on Elite. That's all I gotta say. Anyhow, that was not my rant. My rant is about the new sites that actually were found, because someone has now located the newest site. And do we have a picture of it? Yeah, we do have a picture of it. Let me bring that picture up so that we can all understand why I am very frustrated, as is everyone else here. Where is it? Do we have it in? Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, I put one in.
Okay, let me just save it. And okay, so it's saved.
Hovering over there earlier today.
Oh, there's a couple more eagles screaming there, Turgeon. You might want to get the Andra out and ready to go. Why don't you bring up Andra right now? It's a good time for it. It's Dacius Agrippa.
This one.
Choppity chop chop, Mr. Hawk.
That is a good
How about
one.
that one?
All right. So we've got, let's see, where is my other image here? Drew's videos. How about this one? Image 3. We'll change this. So here it is. This is the new alien rune site coming up right now. There it is. Wow! Look how amazingly different that is from the first alien rune site that we found. It's almost like a completely different alien site altogether.
Almost.
Malcolm Villigan.
Now you see,
purpley.
You see, Turgeon made this comment earlier, and I can agree. A basic layout of being the same, I can understand that. It's a blueprint that they use. They built the same thing everywhere.
Just like ours, they all look the same. Fine.
But all of the damage.
Look down there at the bottom wall there with the damaged buttress and the breach.
It is a literal.
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same. I mean, I was talking about this well before we ever found it. I said this in previous live streams. I said, please, FDev, don't be lazy and just cookie cutter copy paste the exact same site on another planet. Just make it a little bit different. It doesn't need to be much different. Just a tiny little bit different would make it so much cooler. But this is, no kidding, down to the pebbles on the ground, identical to the last site. All they did was copy and paste it and throw it down somewhere else, which wouldn't be such a bad thing. Lemsko joined the Hawk Flock. Thanks for the sub, Lemsko. Wouldn't be such a bad thing.
If it was intact, I wouldn't care less, because that's all of our starports and planets are the same. All of our Coriolis are the same. That's fine.
Exactly.
But it's weathered. It's weathered ruins. You'd expect some different weathering.
I will say this.
Weathering.
I will say this, and then I won't complain about it anymore, because there's honestly not really a point at this point. But I really feel there is a point. I feel like the alien ruins aren't going to be a central part of the story. I was told earlier by Lan, one of the members of the BroCast, and we kind of agree that this is just an interesting side quest. I feel like this is an interesting side quest for the game. This isn't meant to be like story driving, like the plot is moving so fast now that we've got all this stuff. I really feel like this is just some flavor. Like this is FDev trying to add some life into an otherwise cold game, like we've been asking them to do.
Whatever it is, there's no need for them to be so lazy. They have a model of this somewhere, and it wouldn't have been that hard for them to just upright a couple of the ramparts and maybe move one or two over and just change the weathering a little bit so it's just a tiny, tiny little bit different so we can show that they're actually doing something. I mean, like, all this time we're waiting for it, how hard would it have been to do that? Like I was saying earlier before we went live, I can envision, okay, this is a communications hub. Maybe the hub doesn't need to be any different laid out. That's fine. The layout could be perfectly the same. But the only way that I see it being identical, really, is, you know, they came down, they stamped it on a planet, the aliens, that is. They came down, they left their communications hub. But for the same wall to be broken and the same ramparts to be bent over in the exact same way and this one to be broken and that one to be fell down and the weathering to be identical, that's just not possible. It's not possible, and it breaks immersion, which is what we're looking for. We don't have a lot as explorers to go and look at. I mean, number one, sure, there's beautiful planets, and there's beautiful stars, and there's beautiful nebula, and we've gone out and we've seen a lot of it. I mean, any explorer who's spent more than 2 months out in the depths of space has come across the same sort of looking planets and gone, oh, well, that's really cool. And then you go out and look at nebulas, and you go, oh, wait a second, that nebula looks like the last 3 nebulas that I visited, because I've seen the exact same thing. I've seen the same nebula cookie cut paste into the galaxy in different places. And then you go, okay, well, I get it. It's a nebula. Maybe they didn't have time to create 5,000 unique ones. They got to make them a little cookie cutter. But this is something special. The Alien Ruins is something unique that we haven't seen yet. So why would they...
And you know, we are complaining about this because we are really like involved in the game and we crave for stuff like this. And of course, like probably a big part of the player base won't even see this because they do not go out exploring. Right. They don't even see that some of the nebulas are the same. But we do, and that's why we are complaining here. So it comes up somewhere.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Drew's bailiwick here, this is about adding depth and character and personality to the galaxy. And when you see these ruins, you think, we need this. We need this depth and personality and character in the Elite Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really feel like Frontier is on the right track.
Oh, they're on the right track for sure. I mean, there's no question about that. It's just... I'd like to see that track turn a little bit instead of just going in a perfectly straight line with everything being the same imagery passing by all the time. I'd like to see a little bit.
I've got a feeling in the next 2 to 3 months that's going to take a turn.
We'll see. We'll see. Listen, I'm very positive
pulling
about...
at Drew Station for a while.
Yeah, I'm very positive about the progress in Elite Dangerous, and I'm really excited and looking forward to multi-crew, even though it's not going to be catered to people like us. I do combat as well, and combat's tons of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I don't think that having multiple people on a ship for exploration is necessarily going to be a bad thing. Maybe it'll be fun to explore together, because I like exploration just as much as any other explorer does, and having someone on the ship to share the same things without having to take a screenshot and share it, maybe we could be on the same ship and both appreciate what we're finding and plot courses together. That's going to be unique, and that's going to be fun. So multi-crew will still be cool, and there's a lot of other cool things that are coming up, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of new announcements in the future. There's a bunch of games conventions coming up this year, and you know, we know that there are things happening after 2.3 as well. We have 2.4, which is still a bit of a mystery, and then who knows what Season 3 is going to bring. Hey, my mom just joined the Hawk Flock. Thanks, Mom.
Wait, what?
It said your mom has joined the Hawk Flock.
Your mom.
Oh, the internet.
So,
my goodness.
Let's go ahead. Let's play this last video here, and then let's bring Drew on the show, unless anyone else has to say anything about the Alien Ruins. Do you have anything to say?
Who are we bringing on the show again?
That Drew Wagar guy.
Who's that?
If us jammering away is going to like stall Drew coming in, then we're not going to say a damn thing.
All right, let's see. Why? Hold on, I got the videos. Hold on. Where did it go? Drew's videos. How come it's not popping up? Herp derp.
Noobkins.
I don't know why it's not showing up. Fit to screen. Edit. No, hold on. Yeah. Hold on a minute, please. 1 minute, please.
Pitchforks, Josh.
Don't know why.
Pitchforks.
Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
Pitchforks.
Okay.
I think we're about to have red hot pitchforks in chat.
I'm saying
Not us. We're on the side of the people here. It's the evil overlord Hawkins that's going to get the pitchfork.
This isn't our channel.
No.
No. Okay.
No, man.
I don't know why it's not working. Hang on just 1 second, guys. Technical difficulties here. It's showing up as a black screen for some reason. It's not showing the actual darn video. Here, let me just add a new one. Add window capture. Yes.
And you don't want people to shoot the hawk?
Hey, what does the hawk have anything to do with this?
Aren't you the hawk, Josh?
I am not the hawk.
Josh,
that's the hawk right there. The hawk just screamed.
That's proper nasty.
There you go.
that's proper nasty.
Okay.
God.
Here, let's see if this works now.
No, you see, it's too late.
There we go. No,
Commander Decius Agrippa says, how do I de-sub? It's too late, Josh. Exodus has started.
God.
Well, that Exodus, not...
Okay, here it is. I got it, guys. Here it is. Here's a video. We're going to watch this, and this is a little bit of a video here. So actually here, let me make it full screen, and then we're good to go. Position, fit to screen. There we go. It's almost full screen. Here goes. We'll be back after this video.
They used to say which space was haunted. Haunted by the ghosts of ships that first went out there and never came back. But it's not haunted. It's stalked. Stalked by the superpowers. Federal, Imperial and Alliance. Each vying for superiority amidst the harsh and radiation-soaked vacuum of space. Led by powerful figureheads playing a game with entire star systems as their pieces. Stalked by the factions, who squabble and fight under 1,000 different banners in an endless cycle of conflict to secure a patch of transitory territory, each struggling to assert its will across stations, outposts, and systems. Stalked by pirates, who prey on interdict ships in the hope of securing a lucrative cargo from a hapless trader. Most kill by necessity, fighting to keep their ships running and put food on the table. Some kill because they enjoy the pain, slaughter, and mayhem they cause. Stalked by bounty hunters, those who look to make money from the crimes and misfortunes of others, their ships bristling with advanced weaponry. Hard-nosed and callous, only credits count in their measurement of all that is worthy. And stalked by the traders, the masses who scour the space lanes for their next best profit run, ferrying goods and cargo from one place to another on an endless quest to better themselves, afford a bigger or more luxurious vessel, and retire to a planet somewhere quiet and safe. But it isn't safe out here. It's dangerous. If you live and work in space, you take your choice and choose your role. No one tells you what to do. The only certainty is uncertainty. Watching your scanners for the trace of another ship which you must assume is hostile, because the chances are it is. Only a few look beyond the artificial boundary that rings the edge of civilization. 100 light years is but the tiniest mote when weighed against the splendor and scale of the galaxy. There are rumors, of course. Ships that return from long ventures in the void with crews gone insane, or ships that are found abandoned in the darkness. The tales tell of lost planets, ancient civilizations, and strange beacons. It's said by some that humanity did encounter another race out here. If so, it was decades before, and that first encounter did not go well. Perhaps the barriers between harmonious coexistence were too great, the differences in habitat and culture insurmountable. What few accounts are available suggest that human and alien retreated to lick their wounds. Perhaps they will return. Perhaps they're already here. Yet for those who can see, the signs are there. Curious growths have been seen on planets not far from the boundaries of the core. Nicknamed the Barnacles, these strange entities defy classification or explanation. Other explorers have encountered strange probes and artifacts drifting amongst the stars, emitting signals which contain coded information pointing to something. And still more have tracked clues that lead out into the darkness, across barren rifts of space, but seem to lead to dangerous dead ends in the depths of nowhere. But perhaps there are those who know more. Who's to say what secrets lie hidden in vaults, encrypted documents and sealed memories? While some strive to shine a light on the truth, others may work equally hard to keep that knowledge concealed. They might take the view humanity isn't ready for those revelations, working in secret for hundreds of years, protecting humanity from itself, standing above the factions and even beyond the remit of the Empire, the Federation and the Alliance, concerning themselves with the enduring and not the ephemeral. They might well fear a premonition of things to come.
Woo! Cheers! We need to get some like cheers music. Or...
Oh my god,
Woo!
I've got
Clap,
goosey
clap, clap.
bumps.
Oh yeah, that set the tone properly.
Hooray! Yeah.
That trailer means so much more to me now that I've read all the stories and the background history. It's so good.
Well, I think that now, after having watched that, I think it's time to introduce our guest.
It is.
So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, as long as he's still in here and listening, let me introduce to you Mr. Drew Wagar. Drew, how's it going?
Hello, and thank you very much for the welcome.
Oh, thank you very much for joining us here on the BroCast. We've all been very excited to have you on here, and must be kind of cool for you to watch yourself reading that out with all these people watching.
It's quite strange that. So but first things first, thank you very much to you guys for inviting me on, and thanks to all the people who turned up in the chat. I've managed to get 2 PCs working here. So one is running Discord and the other one's got the YouTube on mute, so I can kind of keep an eye on everything. But great to see everybody. Thanks for coming along.
Oh, well, there you go. Let's get a big round of applause and some salutes in the chat for Drew Wagar, everyone. Oh, looks like we already got a bunch of those there. Hi, Drew. Hi, Drew. Greetings. Drew who? Drew who? Drew who? Really, Elite Alien? Drew who? Boo-hoo.
That's just Elite Alien for you.
Yes. Well, we are very excited to have you on, Drew. So, again, thank you very much for joining us today. I know that we had a little bit of a mishap with the timings.
Oops.
Yeah, we don't talk about the things that go wrong.
But,
no, it's too late now.
Yeah, it's too late now. Cat's out of the bag, but it all worked out in the end, and we're very happy to have you on the show. We have many people who have questions for you, and we will go through some of those questions in just a little bit. I think, if anything, maybe we can let Shibuka kind of start off with his thoughts on meeting you, because he's been very excited about meeting you, and you guys have been chatting on Twitter for quite some time now, getting this all arranged, right?
That's right. Yeah, yes, indeed.
It's I'm just gonna say, Drew, it's an honor, and I have so many questions that you're not allowed to answer. So.
Yeah, no, it's great to meet you as well. I mean, it's always lovely to talk to people on Twitter and social media and stuff, but it's nice to chat in person. So great, yeah, and a real pleasure to meet you too.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of curious, Drew, what your thoughts are on our little rant earlier about the alien ruins and the cookie cutter copy paste job that Frontier has done.
Yes, I must admit I'm not privy to the way they build these things into the game. I would be a little bit careful though of underestimating Frontier. Just because things look the same on the surface doesn't necessarily mean that they are.
Spoken like a true science fiction author. Mystery wrapped in mystery. Okay, well, fair enough. I think we are all very optimistic as to what is to come with this whole runes and the development of it and where it's going to go. Of course, we don't really know yet. And I will say that I'm very excited about uncovering more of the lore of the Guardians because, you know, up until now we've had that 100 million credit mission, which has given us a little bit of the background story on the Guardians. And we've been limited as to how much information we got. So now that these new runes are there, one of the things I'll be doing, of course, is flying over and scanning the obelisks to see what new information we can find out about them there. Are you doing those missions as well? I mean, or do you already know?
I'm not actually. No, my commander's in exactly the wrong part of the galaxy. I'm out. I don't know whether a few of you saw it, but I took a trip to Colonia, kind of towards the tail end of last year, and I kind of kept going. So I noticed a couple of people tweeted me saying, "What's this Wagar's Reach place?" And I kind of just sent them a question mark back on Twitter saying, "I don't know. What's that?" And then somebody pointed me at the fact that the galactic mapping crew, who've got a big thread in the forums, had named a bit of the galaxy after me, for which I was very grateful.
There you go.
So I'm actually going out there to have a look because I don't think many people have got that far. It's on the far western sort of rim as you're looking at the map. So I'm heading that way to have a poke around.
Oh, that's awesome. I went there on my way back from Distant Worlds. I took a slight detour to the west of the galaxy, to the west of the core. Very interesting area.
Fantastic. So I'm about, shall be just over a third of the way there from Colonia at the moment. So, I mean, I don't have that much time to play, unfortunately, but when I do, I try and use that for a bit of relaxation. So maybe cover 500 light years in the evening or something.
How many of us do?
Yeah.
Well, it's always trouble, isn't it? Time is the enemy, yes.
It certainly is the nice side of the galaxy that you chose to go visit, of course. It's the side that I'll be going to next once I get back from my original over a year-long exploration journey now. You have all of the beautiful nebula over there, so nothing short of places to see for sure.
Now, Drew, I will say the timing of your little trip was quite good. Right before we get visitors, Drew's hightailing it out of the core worlds.
Loads of people have accused me of it. It's very difficult because I could sit still and I could just log on and not move around, and people would read significance into it. I'm kind of damned if I do and damned if I don't on this one. So I wanted to visit Colonia partly for a bit of research, partly for the book, I spoke to Ed Lewis about it because I knew he was doing some bits and pieces out there, and he said, "Oh no, we can do stuff in the database. We can teleport you out there, save you some time." I said, "No, I want to do the trip the way the players do it, to get a kind of feel for the journey, and I want to see the things on the way that other people have talked about." So I did actually sort of effectively buy myself another account that I could just use literally for that, and I went out there to see Colonia as it is and as it's kind of taking place. So it was really nice actually, because a few folks kind of gathered at Colonia as they realised I was heading in and gave me an escort, which was quite cool. But there is genuinely my Commander Drew Wagar account is just me mucking about in the game as a commander. There's nothing lore related to it at all. So the fact that I ended up on the other side of the galaxy just as these alien spaceships arrived is I mean, you're going to have to believe me and give me a bit of a
pure coincidence.
It is a coincidence, yes. Sometimes it is just a coincidence.
I did see that someone was putting in the chat here something about if Drew headed out there, I can't imagine if staying. Commander Rogue 949 says, if Drew is headed there, I can't imagine it staying safe for long.
Well, the galaxy is a big place, so it's interesting to see what's out there, because the galaxy map doesn't show you all the detail until you get there. So, it's generally interesting to see what's out there.
It certainly is. And this is going to tie into a question that you're going to have to answer later, I suppose. But since there is Wagar's Reach now, you said it was called, will that possibly be a location that might be mentioned in one of your books?
I'm not planning to do it in the current one. That seemed a little bit kind of self-serving, really.
It would be
over here, yes,
you, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I kind of thought, no, that'll probably come across a bit now. So no, I'm not gonna do that. If I do a future book, and that's obviously up to Frontier again. We'll see. It's a long way out.
It would be a bit weird.
Yeah, oddly enough, the other weird thing that's happened recently is there is a chap on the forum who shares my first name, so he's called Drew as well, and he's because of various things that have happened, his character, his commander, has actually got a small cameo in the book, and it was very, very strange writing about him. And I'm going to have to put a disclaimer somewhere. No, it's not me. I'm not putting myself in the game. It just happens to have the name Drew, which is a bit bizarre.
Well, speaking of, I didn't realize that you had a commander named Drew Wagar, so I'm going to go ahead and add you as a friend in the game. So that
yes, please do. So if you want to add me, Commander Drew Wagar, fairly obvious. I'll accept all the friend requests for that. And this commander is nothing to do with the lore. It literally is just me being a fan, being a player.
You do realize it's going to be hundreds of applications now.
Well, I had quite a few the other day after DJ Truthsayer's stream. So, but that's absolutely fine. So,
it's to be expected.
If any of you are out that way, obviously say hi, and maybe we can rendezvous. But it's quite a long way out. I think I'm about 30,000 light years out.
That's a long way for anyone who is not used to exploration.
Yeah, for people who don't explore. Yeah.
They're calling you the Pope of Elite Dangerous in chat.
That's a curious title, is that one?
I should give you a royal wave or whatever that is.
And they're also saying self-serving like Josh and his T-shirt.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The T-shirt says the Hawk Flock. It doesn't say Commander Josh Hawkins on the front. I just want to point that out. That was the other option.
Logo on it, though.
Well, yeah, of course, it's got the YouTube logo on it. Eventually, one day I'll give this away. I'm going to give it away to someone.
Without washing it first, of course.
Yeah, wash it first. Yeah.
What do you mean wash it? It's worth more if it's unwashed. Yeah. I was going to wear it for a good week or two and then package it back into a bag.
Moving swiftly on.
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
please.
Drew, you'll have to forgive our rabbit holes we tend to go down during this show.
Yeah,
so no problem at all, guys.
As long as we don't start talking about baby poop, everything should be fine.
Oh God, I know.
And you did
it. There we go.
He started it, remember.
Well, I didn't start
anyway. Back on track, please, gentlemen. Thank you.
There are a couple of things that we have here as just kind of questions that we wanted to know, just general questions. We were wondering if you wrote books just as a hobby, or if this is a full-time job for you. Because I recall hearing, I think in DJ Truthsayer's stream, you were saying that you did something else having to do with programming, was it?
Yeah, I'm not at the stage yet with the books that they kind of pay the salary, pay the mortgage. So I'm working on that. Getting closer each year, but it's not quite there yet. So no, during the day I'm an IT security manager. It's very, very dull, boring stuff. But that's kind of what I trained as many years ago, and that's what I still do.
That stuns me though, seeing how well researched your books are and how much other stuff you just do for the community in general. That's quite a feat.
Well, I'm very fortunate actually. The way my day is structured is I commute to London from where I live on the train, and it takes about an hour to get in and an hour to get out. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with British trains, but you never ever talk to anybody on a train. It's just one of those rules.
Exactly the same in Germany.
I suppose it's kind of like talking in the men's room in America.
Yeah,
you just don't do it.
It's not done. That's right. So
you're in a personal bubble for an hour. Yeah.
So basically, yes, that's exactly it. So what I have effectively is 2 hours a day where I can write. I have a laptop and I plug my headphones in. I stick some music on, and boom, I'm away. And therefore, I get 10 hours of kind of quite good quality writing time every week, which is at no cost to anything else.
Oh, that's awesome.
So brilliant. I've still got kids in the family, but I can't do anything with them when I'm commuting. So it's otherwise dead time that I can use. So I get effectively an extra working day a week, which I use entirely devoted to writing, which works really well.
That's a great idea. I take the train as well. Unfortunately, my train ride's only 15 minutes, and I cannot do any video editing while I'm on the train. But if I could, I would certainly take advantage of that.
You should bring a laptop and your HOTUS with you on the train, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Why am I?
Yeah, unfortunately, my laptop's not powerful enough to run Elite. It's about 5 years old and it can't quite handle it. But that's probably a good thing actually, because if it wasn't able to play Elite, I would do never get any more work done.
Have you been playing Elite for a long time?
Oh, only about 30 plus years, yeah.
Only okay. Oh, so you're a new player then? Right.
He's one of the 84s. Like
I am. I'm an 84. I got the game. I got the game for Actually, 85 was when I got it, because I didn't have the BBC computer because they were too expensive. They were like £300-400, I think, in 1984. My parents couldn't afford that. So I ended up with a ZX Spectrum, which was the cheap British kind of equivalent, which even then was sort of 175 quid, so it wasn't small change. And Elite was ported to the Spectrum in 1985, so I got it for Christmas 1985, and I've been playing ever since.
That's amazing. And can we ask? I mean, I don't know if you care to share this information, but how old are you?
I will be 47 this year.
47. Oh, congratulations. Yep. I just turned 40. Turgeon is, I think Turgeon's right around your age as well, aren't you?
Yeah, a bit older. Yeah.
There's quite a few of the...
I'd be waving a bat if I was in cricket. You know.
And you played Elite longer than I am alive. That's
and Shibuka.
Something to think about.
I kind of wish I had known about Elite when back in the 80s, but I think it was a little bit more UK based, so we didn't really see it here. And if I'm not mistaken, it came out on the Amiga. It did. The Amiga was not that popular in Canada, at least where I am. My cousin had one, so it's possible he might have seen the game, but I had an Apple IIe, and there was no Elite Dangerous on that, unfortunately. So at the time that you started playing it, did it ever occur to you that you might be writing books about it? Like, or was that just something that sort of developed later on in your life?
I mean,
I love this game.
Back at the time, it would have been an utter dream come true. I mean, it's an interesting circle for me actually, because in the original Elite, all the versions of the game came with a book, which was quite unusual at the time. Normally, you just bought the cassette. That was it. But Elite came with a book called The Dark Wheel, written by a chap called Robert Holdstock, who sadly had passed away back in 2012, I think it was, or 2009, a little while ago, and he wrote the book that went with Elite, which is, so all the stories that some of the legends that you're probably familiar with, like the Dark Wheel itself and Raxler and all those sort of things, they had their genesis, if you like, in that book. And I read that book in 1985 when I was 14. I remember thinking, wow, people write space stories. How cool is that? And this one's about the game I'm playing. And so instantly, even from that age, I wanted to go and visit some of the places that were in the book, to see if they were in the game. Now, the original game was, it was only 8-bit. It had like 32K of memory to run the entire game. So there wasn't a great deal in the game, really. There were a few kind of hard-coded missions. But the idea that you could have things in a game that were based on a book kind of always stuck with me. And that book got me writing. I started writing my own kind of, at the age of 15, they were dreadful, obviously, but it started me writing, and my English master got heartily sick of "Whoosh Went the Rocket" stories, as he called them. But oddly enough, fast forward 30 years, and here I am writing official fiction for Elite still. So it's a bit of that itself has been an interesting story.
Have you taken any of your work from your 14-year-old self and incorporated it into the stories now? Like, was there anything especially special about those?
I put in a very small nod to my 14-year-old self. I reused the names of the characters from my 14-year-old ghastly piece of fiction in Elite Reclamation. So if you read Elite Reclamation, the characters Tenem and Janu, who are kind of Federation people in the story with relatively minor parts, but they are there. They were in my original 14-year-old scribbles.
Oh, that's incredible.
That is cool.
That's very cool. Little things we learn, the little unknown
There you
facts
go.
about the game or about the book. Cool. And so you've been an Elite Dangerous veteran for a long time. That's incredible. And when you play the game now, I mean, when Elite Dangerous came out, you must have been very excited, having played it so far back, to know that they were remaking the game and that you would have a modern recreation of that.
Yeah, I was actually on the forum only a few months before, definitively stating that it would never ever happen. Somebody somewhere will probably find that and dig it out. Actually, that might be a little good quest for somebody to see if they can find my original post where I said this will never ever happen. And so a few months later, I was completely proven wrong by the fact it turned up on the BBC and it's a Kickstarter, and they're putting it back together. And then, of course, realised it was the original crew of sort of David Braben and Co. and Frontier. And my kind of like, oh God, they're actually doing this. Absolute thrill, obviously, to see that happen. I think the best moment for me was when I finally got, I think it was in the beta version of the Kickstarter release, finally getting a Cobra and just being able to go,
yeah.
I'm back in my Cobra again, and undocking and flying out from the space station. I'm back in my ship. It was quite a cool.
That's the thing. I mean, did you have any difficulty with docking? Because I found that, having played from the 80s,
I
I had no problems docking. None at all.
No problems whatsoever, because if you can dock in the original game, then you're already a legend already.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I can't understand people that have trouble docking, because we go back that far to 84.
Yeah, it was very brutal, actually, because the original 84 game, you could do everything. You could fight the pirates, you could pick up the cargo, you could trade, you could fuel scoop at the sun, and then you could lose everything because you couldn't line up with the docking bay.
The final boss, the docking bay.
It was, yeah.
The tenseness at that point, because you couldn't save your game, because obviously it was only a single player game back then, but you couldn't save your game outside of the space station. So if you did crash, you'd have to get your cassette player back, rewind, reload the last 20 minutes of the game and try again.
Man, those cassettes. Those.
And then on the Spectrum, of course, for those of you who remember the Spectrum, what would happen is you'd put the cassette in, you'd put the volume level just right, about 7 out of 10, I think it was, on the old cassette players. And it would come up with tape loading error, which was just, I mean, you guys think you've got it bad nowadays with crashing desktop and stuff. You've got nothing. You have nothing on the horror that is tape loading error.
You ever take one of those cassettes from the computer system and pop it into your cassette player and actually hear what it sounded like?
Yes, yeah, because I mean, if you listen to it, I mean, I could probably, if somebody played it, I could probably tell you which game was loading from the sound.
and how many credits the blog had.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And roughly when it was coming up to finishing the load, so those sounds are burnt into my brain, a bit like some of those early modem sounds, like the 56K stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
I remember so well spending, 6 days, I think, doing data entry to save or to create a game that I saw in a gaming magazine, and of course, writing it all on the computer because there was no copy and paste. So type it all out on the screen and go through the million syntax errors until it was finally done. Then I'd save it on a cassette, and one of my sisters would take the cassette and go and pop it in and record their music on it. And I'd put it in the computer and be like, why is it not working?
If they were if they were especially cruel, they'd only record music over the last 30 seconds of your.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what having sisters is all about. You got any brothers or sisters?
I have a sister. Yep. And we were always fighting over who got the computer, but I won in the end, I think.
Yeah, my sisters like the computer as well, but fortunately I was bigger than them, so I was able to push them off. But we used to play a space game called Trade Wars. It was a BBS game. I don't know if anyone's played that before. It was mostly text-based, very similar to Elite Dangerous, actually, which is why I find Elite Dangerous so cool. Is it was like almost an infinite universe. It had thousands and thousands of systems, and you could jump to them, and it was BBSs mostly, so I don't know how many people remember BBSs, but that was like internet before internet existed. It wasn't
Yeah,
really
acoustic
internet at the time.
couplers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. So you said you're married. Obviously, you got kids. There's a question in here whether you are a cat or a dog person.
Oh, I've got both. I have a Labrador retriever and a chocolate brown one, and I have a cat called Tibbles.
Tibbles.
An excellent name.
That
for a cat.
that is a great cat name.
There's a reason behind the cat name, which is when we moved into our house 6 months after we moved in, this cat appeared on the doorstep. He just sort of sat there. It wasn't our cat. We've never found out whose cat it was. We put up a message saying if anybody's lost a cat, we've got it. Nobody ever turned up, so this cat kind of moved in. And I thought it'll be picked up in a couple of days, so I thought, let's give it a stupid name. I'm going to call it Tibbles.
Of course.
Which unfortunately has now stuck.
Yeah. Well, I have a theory about that. I think it's the cat agency that sends them. They send the cats out to
that's how you get a
places that
cat.
move in.
They select you.
Shadowy cat agency.
They select you. That's like Pokemon. It's the same thing.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Of course, the younger people
is
are
where
like,
sometimes,
Pokemon.
sometimes in your neighborhood you go outside and you're used to seeing all the neighborhood cats hanging around. Some days you go out, there's none. There's no cat there. These outside cats, because they're all taking that day to meet at the cat agency. God knows what they discuss. But that's what's going on. It's the cat agency.
This sounds like the plot to a Pixar movie.
Well,
I was going to say, that sounds like quite a good story. Actually.
I've thought about this probably too much.
I am very happy to see that there are a lot of other people in the chat that played great Trade Wars as well. Commander Scalded Dog, Andreas Schilbach, Millstone Barn. That's really cool. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that are a little bit closer to our age in the chat here.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Elite community. There's a lot that remember the original game.
Yeah, and I think that's
very loyal.
Absolutely,
loyal player base.
Look, if Trade Wars ever got turned into a full-scale AAA title, I'd be all over that too. So yeah, absolutely. And I kind of wish that I had played Elite Dangerous back in the day. That would have been a lot of fun. Let's go on to some of these questions that we have here. Grey Test, since you have a few, why don't you go ahead and get one of those out of the way?
Are we starting with the big ones now?
Yeah, let's start with the main question.
Your call, Grey. You
All
compiled the list.
On the way.
Then I'd ask first, what does your cooperation with AFDEV actually look like when you go about these mysteries or just stories you develop? How much influence do they have, and how much influence do you bring to the table?
Well, within the confines of what I'm allowed to say on those sorts, they have, they always have the final say. And the final say really rests with one man, and I'm sure you know who that is.
Ed Lewis, obviously, right?
So the universe does belong to the creator, as we like to call him. He's the arbiter of everything.
And you are allowed to be official lore.
I'm a very, very minor demigod, perhaps. They. Particularly for the book and the various mysteries and things like that, they do like mystery. David Raven's a big fan of hunts and mysteries and all those sorts of things, and so that sort of stuff very much appeals to him. And the fleshing out the inside of the Elite Dangerous universe is a big part of that. So my relationship is basically to come up with ideas, and those ideas get kind of checked and pushed around and refined a bit, and then eventually I get to a point where the overall concept is good, and then I'm kind of off to go embellish it as best I can in the story. But everything goes through a QA cycle, and everything goes through a consistency check, and everything goes through does it line up with everything else that we've done before, where we're going in the future. So I've definitely got quite a lot of creative freedom, but it's certainly within a box that has some powerful force fields, if that makes sense.
So that's really cool.
There's the thing, though. Just because with a mind like yours, I'll bet that the parameters that they give you and say no, you can't use that, you probably think, Well,
oddly enough, I was more self-limiting actually because when I did my first book, I thought, right, I know the mythology of Elite Dangerous. I'm not going to do the Raxler thing. I'm not even going to ask, and I'm not going to do the Thargoid because I figured Frontier will want to do that themselves. So the reason my Elite Reclamation story was the way it was is because I wanted to do something a bit new in the Elite Dangerous universe rather than kind of go to the big established stuff, which obviously Frontier will want to do. So I wanted to go off and do something else.
I love that you just said that. I would not do the Thargoids because that actually ties in with one of my questions in Altera, or it was in Reclamation? I think, yeah. The old woman Salome meets in the hospital. She says, and they thought the Thargoids were trouble, referring to the things she encountered beyond the rift. So can we assume that there's something else out there, something more dangerous even?
I'd be very, very cagey answering that question, I think.
You say it's a very big galaxy. Who knows?
It is a very big galaxy. The old lady is also a very interesting character, and I think many of you will have worked out who and what she is. But whether or not you've all worked out what she's trying to achieve and what she's up to at this point in the history of Elite, all I can say is will probably be revealed in the new book.
I'm excited. I can't wait for that. That's amazing.
Why do you have to do this to us, Drew?
For you to go out there and buy it. You want to get out there and buy that book, man.
Well, there will also be opportunities to introduce this. I mean, obviously, she's all tied up with the Formadine Rift mystery and all that sort of good stuff as well. So there will be, you're not at the end of that mystery yet. There's more to come, and there's an opportunity for everyone to be involved if you pay attention. So keep your eyes on the skies, Commanders.
I want to take a quick moment right before we go into a few more questions and just say to everyone who's joining in right now, welcome to the BroCast. My name's Commander Josh Hawkins. I'm joined by our regular crew, of course, my co-hosts Turgeon Starstone.
Hello, folks.
Shibuka.
Hello.
And Commander Greytest.
Hello, Niam.
As well as our special guest, Drew Wagar.
Hello, folks. Thank you very much for having me on.
Who is the author of Reclamation, Elite Reclamation, who we're speaking to right now. The BroCast is a live show. We do this every Sunday. It's from 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and you're certainly welcome to join us back here next week. It's a good time to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already so that you get notifications when we do go live, because we don't just have people like Drew come on here. We have other commanders from the game, and we've interviewed YouTubers as well, but we typically try to keep it as entertaining as possible. We are asking Drew some questions that we have already written down here from people in our Discord channel who have taken the time to sum up quite a few of the questions and things that they would like to know about not just the Formadine Rift, but his books and some of the characters in his books, and we're going through that right now. So if you do have any questions that you would like to ask, Turgeon, can you throw the Discord link in there? I think the best thing is not to put them in the chat, but to join our Discord and put them into the Questions for Drew Wagar channel that's in there so that we can... we'll try to get to as many of these as possible. I know Drew's working on somewhat limited time, and he's also in UK time zone, so we don't want to keep him on here until 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, I mean, we do, but I know what it's like when you're married.
I'm definitely good until 11, guys, so you've got an hour and a half. That's fine.
Excellent. Because there are a lot of questions that we would like to go through.
Yeah, we might even have a chance to get through all of these. That's amazing.
We very well might. So if you do have questions, the link to the BroCast Discord is in the chat. You can click on that, join up in there, and put your questions for Drew in the Questions for Drew channel. And once we've gone through the ones that we have here, if one of those is not already the question that you would like to ask, we will go in there and dip in for a few more questions to see if we can ask some of those as well. So here's a very simple question for you, Drew. Alliance, Empire, or Federation?
Oh, that's an easy one. Definitely the Empire. But possibly Empire. Not for the reasons you think. Yeah, I mean, the reason I like the Empire is because when and this is stuff that I was given way before the game came out. We were given these fiction guides in order to write cohesive stories in the Elite Dangerous thing, and the way the Empire was described was a cross between the ancient Roman Empire and the British Empire at the height of its power. So. As a bit of a Brit, obviously.
They already got you with that.
The only faction that can make a proper cup of tea.
Exactly right. So if you need a cup of tea, definitely you want to head off to Achenar. So, but the the Federation was kind of described as kind of the US on steroids.
No.
And yeah, it's a bit more than that. But and the Alliance was kind of described as the European Union. I thought, I'm not doing that. That sounds awful.
Actually, yeah, when you look at it like that, yeah.
And so with the Empire, the thing that really got me about the Empire, though, is the fact that we don't really have a government like that on Earth anymore. We certainly used to in history, but we don't have anything like that now. And so it was kind of endlessly fascinating the way that the politics worked in the Empire. And as I started coming up with the original seeds of the story that became Elite Reclamation, the Empire kind of just appealed because it was a little bit different and a bit strange. I hadn't written about a kind of imperial style kind of faction like that before, and I thought that sounds fascinating. So it just kind of got me. And I've kind of been with the Empire ever since.
Are you involved in power play in any way? I mean, have you joined up with any of those factions?
I haven't really. I never ever had the time because you've got that rank decay problem.
It is rather time consuming. Yeah.
When you've only got an hour or so every few days to play, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
And all credit to Frontier, because I criticised them quite harshly over power play when it first came out, and sort of gave them a bit of a dissing, saying the characters weren't very good and they hadn't differentiated them properly and all these sorts of things. And they chuckled at me when I went in to see them and said, "Oh yes, we remember what you said about power play." Sorry. But they were very gracious about it and still let me go on with the other stuff. So one of the things I have been able to do in the new book is give a little bit more insight into what's really going on behind power play and give a bit of life to some of the characters. So people like Denton Patrius and Aisling Duval and some of the others have got a little bit more kind of meat on the bones of what they're like as people.
I saw them on your lore page. They do not have a link yet, but they are listed there as to be done.
I will get there one of these days. Yes, the lore pages are definitely a work in progress, but unfortunately, it's for me at the moment it's quite a low priority. But I will get there.
I'll link it in the chat so people can take a look. There are some very interesting pieces of information already on there.
Yeah. Yes. So what I basically tried to do is there's a lot of information out there on Elite and Elite Dangerous, and some of it is very good, and some of it is completely wrong, but still very good. Because it's over 30 years of stuff, games. It's over 30 years of all the games. It's got it's got quite confused to what's actually genuinely real and what is just kind of fan fiction that's kind of been around for so long it feels like it's real.
Yeah, like a Star Wars position now, where a lot of the fan lore has been thrown out.
Yes,
in the new
a lot of stuff was.
We're in the same position now, aren't we?
Yeah, a lot of the new stuff was. A lot. To be honest, a lot of fan lore was incorporated into the game. A lot of the work that Dave Hughes did, Dave Slezin Hughes, a lot of his work was incorporated in, which was a huge kind of nod to the fans, but not all of it. And obviously David Braben gets the the overall say on what happens. In order for some of the stuff in Elite Dangerous to make a bit more sense, some of the previous lore has been kind of retconned in order to make things a little bit more interesting. And the phrase I always quote to people is, it's kind of Elite Dangerous is inspired by what has gone before, but it isn't bound by it. So there's an awful lot of similarities, but there is a little bit of retconning and parallel universe stuff going on here.
Here is a question from Risentide. He says, Salome and the Children of Raxla appeared before Dr. Kai and a live stream at Beagle Point at the end of the Distant Worlds expedition. Will Premonition give us this encounter from her perspective?
That's a good question. Kind of yes and no. The Return of the Distant Worlds expedition is the event that kicks off the story. So yeah, I'll have to be a little bit vague on there, but there certainly is references to it.
Ooh, I was not aware of that, and this intrigues me very much.
Vague is good.
Yes.
Yeah, vague is good.
We like a mystery.
We have some really great questions in here as well. This is one here from Len. says, writing your own universe allows you to create any technology you want. There's no limits. But how do you find writing for a pre-existing universe that may have bounds on your imagination? Which kind of goes back to what we were saying before, where you said that, everything has to go through this process. So what are your thoughts in terms of like the limits for you in writing when you're limited by the existing universe?
It's a very, very good question. I have been asked it before, but it's an excellent question. It has pros and cons, basically. The pros are that all the background work is done for you. You can go and look up a ship, find out exactly what it can do, what it looks like. You've got a galaxy, you can look up a star system and go, yep, that's got the so-and-so population in it, and all of that kind of good stuff. So a lot of that kind of stuff, you haven't got to make it up because it's already there. And everybody knows how it works. I don't need to explain what a frameshift drive is, and I don't need to explain what a plasma accelerator is or what it does, because the players know that, and anybody familiar with Elite will go, oh yeah, well, yeah, duh. We all know what a Coriolis space station is, and there isn't any gravity, and da-da-da-da-da. So I don't need to do all that kind of explaining, because that's, when you're writing a book, you've got to balance, trying to set the scene with getting the story going, and you don't want to overdo setting the scene, but you've got to get some stuff in there, usually, particularly in a new story, because you've got to get that started. Mm-hmm. But in Elite, it's all done for you, which is great. The downsides really are that certain things you're not allowed to do. And I bump into this every so often. Far less now than I used to, but because I kind of know what I am allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do. But certainly early on, there were my initial synopsis that I put through to Frontier for Elite Reclamation came back with loads and loads of red ink all over it saying no, 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 no.
Now, was that no because they didn't want to have to add those types of things into the game, or was it because they were things that they wanted to add, but it would only come later on, and they didn't want you talking
some
about
of it was some of it was kind of, no, that's not how things work, but we haven't told you that yet. Some of it is you're treading on stuff which you're not allowed to interpret, and we want to reserve that for the future. Some of it was, no, that's not the way that we see the Imperial Federation doesn't have this or that, or this piece of technology can't exist because it doesn't exist in the Elite universe. There's all sorts of little bits and pieces. Now, now I have a much better understanding of kind of where that looks like. So it's that much easier. But certainly at the beginning, it was particularly for somebody who'd been following Elite for 30
especially writing the book without a game for reference. I mean, because you wrote most of it before Gamma was released, right?
I wrote it all before Alpha, actually.
Wow.
The entire book was written based on writers' guides, background information from Frontier, the dev diaries and writers' fiction diaries that they did back then.
Wow, that is impressive.
And also, the only thing I did do is I had some of you may be, you certainly be able to dig up the video on YouTube somewhere. There was it's called the Damocles video, which is the first time we saw things flying around in Elite Dangerous, where basically there was an Imperial ship and a Federation ship sort of duking it out with fighters and stuff. And that, coupled with the first edition of the Alpha, which came out just as I was putting the kind of finishing touches to the game, at that point, that was the only time I had kind of a game to look at. And I made a few changes to the book as a result of the Alpha, and then that was it. I was out of time.
Well, that ties in very well with another question, and that also means that a lot of these references you have in Reclamation to Greek mythology, they were also a given by FTEV, right?
Yes. So the beautiful thing was that they did collaborate with us on putting things into the game that would tie to the books, and the books would relate to the game. And the galaxy map and some of the bits and pieces that are in there, were kind of pre-arranged with Frontier as the books were coming out. So they were put into the game as it evolved, and when it got to release, of course, so we could then go off and visit those things because we knew where they were, and then players have been able to find them ever since.
Very interesting. I'm curious because I don't know how long it takes to actually write a book, and I'm sure books of different lengths take different time periods to write. But do you find yourself at all limited by the the expansion of the game in terms of what you would like to write about? Like, have you gone like, oh, I really want to write about this, but because the game's not quite there yet, I have to hold off and focus on other areas, or not?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's a couple of things. I mean, one is that I've got my own sci-fi saga, which allows me to explore the kind of stories that I want to write. Mm-hmm. In a world of my own choosing, and that's a little bit more kind of harder sci-fi than Elite is.
That's the
one of the problems.
Series?
That's it. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, do check it out. But because Elite is kind of hard sci-fi, but it's got some bits in it that don't really make sense. So I mean, hyperspace is obviously one. The way the battles work with limited top speed and lasers that are visible and stuff, is not quite real physics, and there's a few other bits and pieces like that are gameplay concessions which have to be there to make the game fun, which completely get. And you've got a choice as a writer: do you just sort of gloss over those, or do you kind of write them up in a way that players experience them? And it's, to be honest, I've kind of erred on the latter, because it's more fun and it makes it makes you feel closer to the game. But it does mean you have to take a few liberties with the laws of physics, which true sci-fi novel I don't really like doing. So my Shadewood saga does not break the laws of physics, for example, and I've been very careful about that sort of stuff. But also, Elite set in spaceships. The main thing about Elite is you're flying around doing spaceshipy sort of stuff, and there is politics and there's other bits and pieces. So you can't, if I wanted to introduce a new alien race into the game, that would be quite a big ask. In terms of a overall fantasy story, when we know that there's pre-existing stuff in there, and I can't introduce another major faction into the universe, and I can't retcon the entire history of the universe just for my sake of a book. So I do have a lot of limitations on what I can and can't do in Elite, which obviously in my own sci-fi series I can do whatever the hell I like. So right. That's kind of the way I've looked at it, is I keep some of those stories from my own work and make sure my Elite type stories stick with the Elite universe.
Well, speaking of sci-fi, here's a question that we may or may not know the answer to, but this is from Greytest, actually. Why landing pad 42? I haven't read the book, so I don't know, but I'm assuming this comes up a lot.
That's a little. Oh, sorry, my was just going. That's a little nod to the late great Douglas Adams, of course. So
of course,
nothing too much more than that.
We kind of figured, but had to ask. Yeah. Great. Let me just gray out that question so I know that we've done that. All right. Well, here's a question from Disco Cat. Disco Cat asks, for Reclamation, you had a story with fictional characters only. For the new book, you'll have commanders. Did this change the way you approach writing about those commanders in the book? How do you handle that?
That's a very good question. It hasn't, actually. What I've done, what I always do with my main characters, so if you hacked into my computer Elite Reclamation synopsis document, it would have every character in there with a little bio about what they look like, who they are, where they come from, what ship they fly, if they have a ship, all that kind of stuff. And so as I've kind of made choices to what's happening in the game as to which commanders are in the game, I've basically been sending them an email saying, okay, guys, what does your commander do? What do they like? Where are they from? What ship do they fly? What do they look like? And in some cases, people have come back with, I don't know. And I said, well, give me something, make something up. Or I've interpreted it myself based on what they've kind of told me. So, and most people, in fact, everybody, as far as I'm aware so far, has come back with, oh, well, my commander started in the XYZ system and he flies an Asp, and he was at the battle of this and the battle of that. So I've got quite a lot of history and kind of backstory for these commanders to work into the overall flow of the story, which means that the commanders in the game will be no different to the fictional characters that kind of already form part of the story as well. So I'm hoping they all blend in, and they're just people who live in the Elite universe.
Interestingly enough, I saw on your Twitter there was a picture of, I think, part of the story that you were writing. And, I know that some commanders in the game have been a participant in events that have allowed them to now be included in your book, The Discovery of Alien Ships and whatnot. I know that one of our own BroCast members here is very likely going to be making an appearance in your book as well. For
maybe,
maybe you have a little section on your computer that says Commander Shibuka. I don't know.
Well, I anticipated this question actually, and I'm looking at what is currently chapter 29 on page 222, a Word document where it says, and I will. This is a very minor spoiler. And I'm going to read you a few words. It says, incoming transmission. Shibuka toggled the comm system online and was rewarded with the faces of two familiar colleagues, Commanders Tarjan Starstone and Josh Hawkins. They, like he, were lone wolf explorers, liking the freedom to do things the way they saw fit.
That's awesome.
There ends the spoiler.
That, folks, was the sound of Shibuka getting a nerdgasm.
Oh my god!
And myself too.
You have melted me into a fangirl, Drew. Oh my god!
I'm blushing.
Oh, thank you for that.
Well, it's funny though, because I wanted to ask, the image that I saw on your Twitter post actually mentioned a Joshua flying an asp, and I was like, have you been watching my episodes, Drew?
I have spies everywhere. Sure.
Yeah.
Apparently so. Well, if you need some ideas, Turgeon and myself both have some fantastic episodes.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it's not actually what Drew was saying earlier about working with parameters that FDev set, because half of the point of the Turgeon's Travels episodes is me trying to explain the weird things that we found that probably shouldn't have been there, and justifying them within FDev's rules. Like, we couldn't possibly find escape pods on every moon and every planet 2 kilometers apart from each other. There'd be more people in pods than people in the galaxy. So I come up with a way of
I felt really guilty about this today, because I was out exploring with my ship way beyond the edge of beyond, and landed on this planet and found an escape pod in a wreck using my SRV, and then felt incredibly guilty because
you left
my Cobra doesn't have any cargo space.
Oh no!
Yeah, so it's like I can't even leave a beacon for somebody else to find.
He wouldn't know. He wouldn't know.
Well, yeah, there must be in suspended animation.
Well, plus, I think Turgeon and I can both tell you that sometimes picking up those escape pods can get you into more trouble than it's worth.
Yes, people in escape pods.
Yeah, and also rumors say that on the Distant Worlds expedition, some of those escape pods might have been sacrificed to Sagittarius A. Maybe.
That's true. Yeah,
that's mean.
That's terrible. Terrible, guys. Really?
The god of the core. Accept these
rumors. Just rumors.
Rumors.
I know no names.
We didn't.
A lot of rumors in the galaxy.
Well,
that's spaghettification for escape pods. That's nasty. Yeah.
Going along with that last question, then.
For science.
For science. Tie a rope to the escape pod and then throw it into the black hole.
Yes.
So here, going along with that last question, just in terms of how you wrote the fictional characters, and now you have the commanders to write with, and how that might change your approach. Commander Koo asks, did any player actions or player-driven events make it into Premonition that you weren't expecting when you started writing it?
Yes. Definitely. In fact, you players have been really, really annoying at times.
I can believe it.
So quite a few things have got kind of knocked on the head as well, which I was hoping to do, which sometimes come around again, but don't always. So so players have definitely been tweaking the story. Unfortunately, the frustrating thing about that is I can't tell people when they've changed it, because the story is what the story is.
Of course.
What I've been trying to do is write a little bit ahead of things for stuff that I think is very likely to occur, and most of the time that's been reasonably safe. But every so often a CG will not turn out the way it expected to be, or a battle occurs, or when you're trying to put various things in game for people to pick up on, sometimes they jump clues and get to the end of things faster than you expected, and sometimes they miss things and you're kind of going, guys, it's over there.
You can't, yeah.
And you can't jump in and interfere. So it has to be what
You're living
it
the
is.
total Gandalf experience.
It's very strange. Yes, it's very strange. Yeah.
I wanted to ask then, because now perhaps you can correct me if we're mistaken in this, but from what I understood, as far as the Formadine Rift, there were elements of this that were supposed to have been in the game before Horizons ever came out. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. The Formadine Rift mystery was something that we cooked up in kind of outline before the game existed. We had an opportunity on the writers' forum, which is still there. Nobody can see it because it's one of those private forums on the FDev thing, and nobody goes there now because it doesn't need to be used. But back then, we had an opportunity to kind of submit things for inclusion in the game before the game existed. And my one was this mystery. So it had its genesis long before the game even existed.
And so these elements that are in the game, or that were in the game before Horizons, are those the beacons that were found, or is this still something that has not been found yet? Because everything that I've seen, I mean, like the bases and whatnot that's come up, these are all on the surface. So these are Horizons features. These are not pre-Horizons. So is there still...
They are different, Josh.
They are different?
It's a completely different mystery.
Is it?
Okay. There's more than one mystery in this galaxy.
How many mysteries can the universe have? I don't understand.
What the way to answer this question, because I get asked this one quite a lot as well, is that people do tend to think of this stuff in terms of game assets, and that's obviously quite natural from a game player's perspective. But I'm not a game developer; I'm a writer. So you've got to kind of put your hat on it that way round to kind of get the feel of this. Certainly, there are in-game assets that are part of this, but the assets themselves are not the key thing. And I think I explained on other streams before, Formadine Rift mystery isn't a case of there's a POI in a system and you're going to go there and there you go, you won. That's not what this is.
Okay. So there is
it's
more
not
to
it's not an end of level baddie, and it's not a it's not just a POI in some system that's been left out there. It's a bit more what's the word? I'm struggling for a word now. That's not good.
Nuance.
Yeah, it's
a matter of perspective.
It is, yeah. I'm not going to say a cliche like the journey is more important than destination, because there is a destination, but it isn't just a POI in a system. That's not what it is.
Well, I've got a question here from Zenith from Children of Raxel that kind of goes along with that. He asked, when you published Reclamation, you made reference to the Formadine Rift twice, and it went unnoticed for a few months. Now that there's been beacons and bases discovered in the Rift, Conflux, and Hawkins Gap, how do you personally feel about the progress the storyline has made from that quiet beginning?
I've been really encouraged by it, actually, because we put it in there as an idea. We didn't know whether it would work, and my idea behind it was I'd quite like to have something like the Raxler mystery, but there was actually something there to find.
Right.
Because in the original game, Raxler was mentioned in the book, but everyone's been through that 32 kilobytes of code with tooth comb over the years, and it isn't in the original game. Alas, it was just a piece of mystery to kind of keep it going, which didn't stop people searching for it for years. But this time round, obviously, we've now got the capability to embed all sorts of cool stuff in computer games, and I wanted to do something similar with that kind of feel in mind. So that's how I set out with the mystery. What's been interesting is that people did pick up on the fact, oh, hang on a minute, what's this mystery and what's Riort and Ridquack got to do with it? And when they worked out eventually, looking at the Riort Ridquack line, that it did in fact seem to indicate that it pointed out towards the galaxy in exactly the same way that the book described. I think at that point people started sitting up and paying attention, thinking, is there anything to this? And then it took quite a while for us to kind of get the vague outlines of the rift kind of mapped and all that kind of good stuff. And obviously some of the exploration mechanics needed to mature in the game as well to make that a bit easier. And with Horizons, we've had the ability to kind of enhance that storytelling. And I kind of took the view that I'd start embracing some of the new capabilities in the game and making the story that much better, because otherwise it gets a bit stale and a bit static.
Right.
So there's more to do, but the actual mysteries are still the same thing.
We do something on our show every week.
Oh, here we go.
Is it time?
They're going off
about it.
about it.
Time. Yeah, they're going off in the chat. So we do something on our show every week, Drew, that our guests and ourselves all participate in. And I don't know if you've had the opportunity to watch our previous shows before, or if you know what I'm referring to.
I haven't yet. I meant to do some research at the time, so I'm going into this with complete naivety.
Okay,
That's
well,
good.
it's that is good. That is good. So what we do on the show, it's called the Dutch Challenge, and the Dutch Challenge is. It's a lot of fun. So basically, we have quite a few Dutch viewers who every week we are provided with a phrase in Dutch, and we are tasked with trying to pronounce the phrase.
I will not be good at this. I have a GCSE in French, and that's my limit.
Oh well, you
Not
speak French
being
now.
good at
Okay.
it, you're in good company.
Yes,
trust
you're in excellent company.
You're partaking in the Dutch challenge with an American. I think you'll do just fine.
So we will try to queue up the Dutch challenge if Turgeon is able to maybe queue up his.
We'll see if Savi is actually going to say anything today or cut off after 2 seconds like she has.
All right, give it a go.
For some reason.
It's time for the Dutch challenge, where your hosts always make A.
Did she make it this time?
She almost made it through.
Almost made it.
She says where your hosts always make proper Muppets of themselves.
Proper Muppets of themselves. Eh?
Proper Muppets.
So we'll get the Dutch challenge up here. Let me just stop my ship so that I don't fly into something and blow up like I have the tendency to do. Commander 40% is my new nickname.
You don't want to be Commander 38%.
No, I don't want to be Commander 38%. And I will queue up the Dutch music for the Dutch challenge. And here is the Dutch challenge. You will probably, Drew, have to look on the live stream. It's going to pop up in just a second. But I'll go ahead and try it out first while you wait for it to pop up on the screen. So, here we go. Het maakt mij niet uit moeilijk des Utagingen zigen, want zolang ze maar grippig klinken, is het gewoon goed.
I could hear the entire Dutch population
groaning and turning in their graves. Oh my goodness, that was terrible.
Yeah, the sniper is right.
You guys,
Het glass is twerk.
Oh, the glass is twerk.
You guys need me to say that, do you? Good grief, that's going to be a... Yeah, this is not going to work well.
All right, Drew. Well, we have 2 minutes of Dutch music. That is the time that we have to do this. So you are our guest. Why don't you go ahead and give it a go?
I will give it a go. Het maakt mij niet uit moeilijk des Utagingen zigen, want zolang ze maar grappig klinken, is het gewoon goed.
Oh, not bad.
Dear Lord in heaven.
Not bad.
I will.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let's get me applause in there.
Yeah, there's the applause. All right, Shibuka, you're next.
Oh God. Het maakt mij niet uit hoe moeilijk deze uitdagingen decision want so lang the more graphic klinken is het going good. Oh, that was butchered.
Yeah.
I'm curious now as to what I'm actually saying.
We never know.
We never know.
Yes, I do have a translation.
We do have a translation.
I'll tell you. I can tell you.
Not yet. Hold on. We'll get the
Well,
translation
all right.
after. Turgeon, why don't you go ahead? We've got a minute left, so
All right,
you and Great Jess got to
I'll
get
have
it
a
in
go.
here.
Het maakt mij niet uit hoe moeilijk deze Utdagingen zien van zolang ze maar grappig klinken is het gewoon good.
Wow.
And Greatest is probably
That
the
was
one who
pretty good.
Greatest is
Jim,
usually the
so-
best because of his German
next door.
language. So, all right, Greatest, give her a go.
All right, let's go. Het maakt me niet uit moeilijk deze uitdagingen zien, want zolang ze maar grappig klinken, is het gewoon good.
All right, let's get some
Oh
applause
my
for that, Turgeon,
gosh.
please.
Jim, just because you complained previously, and assuming it'll actually play,
Assuming.
Tim actually gave me a sample of him saying it.
Oh,
Ooh,
excellent.
So, because you
Wow.
were complaining that he didn't. Now, assuming that the soundboard will play it, here we go, right?
Het maakt mij niet uit hoe moeilijk deze uitdagingen zijn. Want zolang ze maar grappig klinken, is het gewoon goed.
Oh my god, that's fast.
There you go.
That was so fast.
And now I realize just how bad I
How
did.
badly we are.
Sounded nothing like me at all.
Well, we did pretty good, I'd say. Now Tim is going to put some scores up in the chat at some point here. We'll wait for the scores to come up. Maybe we can see.
The translation was, it doesn't matter how difficult the challenges are, as long as they sound funny, everything is all right.
And that is the nature of the Dutch challenge in itself. So
I beat Josh.
there's our scores.
Yeah.
So I got a 3 on 10. Boo.
Awesome.
Great
Well
test.
done, you.
9 on 10. Turgeon 8.5.
I don't feel like I deserved a 9 on 10 hearing Tim saying that.
Should we hear that again? We'll hear Tim say it again.
Het maakt mij niet uit hoe moeilijk deze uitdagingen zijn. Want zolang ze maar grappig klinken, is het gewoon goed.
The only word I heard in
Hood.
He said clinking in there.
Hood is all I heard in there. Clinkin', yeah, I heard clinkin' too.
Clinking hoods, yeah,
Clinkin'
right.
hoods. All right, well, another successful Dutch challenge, and hey, again, I am at the very bottom of the scoreboard. Yay!
Hooray!
Hooray! All right, let's go back to some questions for Drew. Yeah, I know.
I've got one here that I'm actually pretty curious about, and I'm not sure if we'll get an answer or not, but I think it's worth a try.
Okay, hang on. Before we do that, I just want to remind everyone that we will be doing a giveaway before Drew leaves the show. We're going to be doing a giveaway for one of Drew's books, and now maybe since we have Drew on here, now you can kind of confirm with us what we can give away. Reclamation or Premonition?
I need to check with Frontier on Premonition.
Okay.
So I will definitely say it will be an Elite book.
It will be an Elite book. Drew and I will discuss this further at a future date. So whoever it is that does,
we'll get that sorted out.
We'll get it all sorted out. Whoever it is that does win the giveaway, and I think Drew, you and I had tweeted just very briefly, and I think you said it is quite possible that we could arrange for an autographed copy. So
yes, yeah, I'll make sure that happens definitely.
Excellent. So
amazing.
Very exciting. Make sure you guys stick around. And at the end of the Drew Wagar interview, we will go ahead and do a draw for one of you. Very lucky.
Jessica
folks out
Crumb
there.
says Elite Manual.
Elite Manual.
Yeah.
A signed copy of the Elite Manual.
That's right.
There you go.
Given to every Sidewinder pilot.
And if you're just joining us now, very quickly before we go into more questions with Drew, welcome to the BroCast. My name's Commander Josh Hawkins. So we're joined by the usual crew here. We've got Commander Shibuka.
Hello.
Commander Turgeon Starstone.
Evening all.
And Commander Greatest.
Hello, Ian.
Joined by our special guest, Drew Wagar.
Right on, Commanders.
Yes, author of Elite Reclamation. The link to his website is in the description below. If you're interested in his books, please go ahead and take a look. He's got quite a few books on there. You've got a sci-fi series, a Shade Word series is on there. You have the Elite Reclamation, soon to be coming up Premonition. When is that supposed to be released, Premonition?
Well, we are penciling it in for summer. We said last year. I'm kind of guesstimating that means August-ish at the moment, based on how we're doing.
So around August-ish, the second installment in the Elite series from Drew Wagar should roughly be expected? We'll go with the standard trademark soon.
Soon, yes.
Soon.
When it is done, Bonarotti.
Exactly. Yes. Turgeon is putting a few links in the chat, of course, for our individual YouTube channels where you guys can check out all of the different Elite content that we produce. And I won't get too much into that just for the sake of saving on time, but feel free to check that out in your own time and not to interrupt the interview that we have with Drew right now. So once again, we will be doing a draw at the end of the interview with Drew. And after that, we also have a special announcement that we would like to make. So make sure you stick around because we have some very interesting announcements to come. Going back to some questions here for you, Drew, we have a question from Mars Europe, another YouTuber who many of you have probably seen and or heard of. Maybe Turgeon can throw a link in there as well if he can pull that up.
Ghost Ref.
Mars asks, Drew, have you written in any funny side characters who seem to survive things they shouldn't and go places no one knows how they got there? Just for flavor, may I suggest a certain smuggler who is convinced he's a legitimate cruise ship captain?
I have in other books. I haven't done that in Elite books specifically because I've kind of tried to ensure the books were kind of serious all the way through. So where there are little bits of humor, they're kind of in dialogue more than anything else. My great friend and colleague Kate Russell, however, her entire book was kind of like that. So if you want a kind of funny book in the Elite universe with that kind of characterization, then Kate's book is definitely one you should check out.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, she wrote Elite Mostly Harmless, right?
That's right, yeah. Which is a great kind of romp through the funnier side of the Elite Dangerous universe. So she starts off. I don't know how many anybody in the UK will recognise the space station they start at, a place called Slough, which is based in a real place in the UK, which kind of isn't the most salubrious place in the UK. Let's put it that way. And the idea of having a space station called Slough just sort of, I don't know what every country will probably have their own city or town that is Slough-like. And it's a very cool place to have a story start, and Kate does a great job of doing that in her book.
Now I know where Commander Ascorbius got the idea for the name of his series from.
Mostly Aimless.
Mostly Aimless.
Okay, well,
I've got a question here I want to ask Drew.
All right.
This is from Notice from the Children of Raxla.
Oh, yes.
And, he asks, in the book And Hear the Wheel, it was mentioned that a pilot can't misjump a Gen 3 drive, and that Sirius Corp ran extensive tests, but they couldn't make it work. Testing your existing tech for new features is odd. Should we consider that Sirius was not the inventor of the Gen 3 FSD, or is that just poor interpretation?
Well, I wouldn't trust the Sirius Corporation as far as
I love it. Because I heard I think earlier this year, or earlier last year actually, in the beginning of last year, they supposedly found the Antares, a ship that went missing years ago. And we never really heard anything about it afterwards.
No, the Sirius Corporation is a very interesting organization. It's kind of like a mega nasty acquisition type organization. If you think of the worst type of corporations that basically muscle in and buy out smaller competitors and then resell their products or undercut other competitors so that they can drive them out of business and then acquire their technology. That's kind of my view of the Sirius Corporation. Not
on
very
a galactic scale. Yeah.
On a galactic scale, yeah.
All right. We have a question.
Starstone Industries isn't like that.
Here is a question from Lone Wolfpack. He says, Drew, will your writings continue to focus on the bubble and its local environs, or will the rest of the galaxy get some attention?
No, the rest of the galaxy is covered. Not the entirety of the galaxy, obviously, that would be but certainly the areas that have being part of the recent mysteries are included. Colonia has been included, and the story moves around all of those locations.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. Here's a question from our resident Dutch Challenge question provider or phrase provider, Tim. He says, "Have you ever tried stroopwafels?"
Stroopwafels. That sounds almost Belgium to me. Is that?
Well, there's a second part to this question that actually comes from the Cookie Rebel, which is, what do you think about Belgian beer? So, what?
Well, Belgium. I was fortunate enough to spend 6 months in Antwerp many years ago, and I developed a fondness. What was it? A beer called Weissbier, which I don't think necessarily is Belgium, but.
It's actually German, yeah.
It was German. There seemed to be an awful lot of it in Antwerp, so I kind of associate it with Antwerp.
That's awesome.
So stroopwafels, you've never had a stroopwafel before, then?
I don't think I've ever had a stroopwafel, no.
Okay.
They'll be down your local Lidl. If you pop down your local Lidl,
I'll see if I can find a stroopwafel.
Something to put on your to-do list, definitely.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that all of us here on the BroCast have now tried them. I live in Montreal, and we don't have a lot of European foods. Well, I mean, it's kind of shocking when you think about it, because we're a very European culture here in Montreal. But there are not a lot of stores that sell European foods. So I found a store that actually sold it and picked up a whole bunch of them after having many people in the chat and in our Discord raving about how amazing stroopwafels are, and gave it a try. And basically what it is, it's kind of like a cookie waffle with a caramel center. And,
it's like a hardest caramel in between sandwich between. Somewhere between a waffle and a biscuit, aren't they?
Yeah, somewhere between a waffle and a biscuit.
Texture.
And if you get them, I guess if they're fresh, they're quite soft, actually. They look like they might be harder when you first glance at them, but if they're fresh, they seem to be rather soft when you bite into it, and the caramel has a very light caramel flavor, as a matter of fact. But the traditional way to prepare these is to put them on top of a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And
perch them on top of a cup of tea for a bit, yeah.
Warm them up so it sort of melts the caramel on the inside. So if you do have the chance, do let us know back here in our Discord, and let the bros know what you thought of stroopwafels. They're quite addictive. I'm not going to lie.
They are. They're very
been wanting to go back and get some more for a few weeks now since I ran out. So
I shall definitely check them out.
If you want some guilty calories, there you go.
Guilty calories. Be warned.
Another quick question by Henker77. Complete the sentence. After I have finished Premonition, I will... ...
Be writing and finishing Lords of Midnight.
Yes, Lords of Midnight. I'm looking forward to that one, too. I didn't play the game, but I am looking forward to reading the book.
Now, is that part of the Shadeword series?
No. Lords of Midnight is another ZX Spectrum game from pretty much the same era as Elite, actually, 1984. So it was a computer game which wasn't as famous as Elite, but on the ZX Spectrum, it's way up there in the top 10 of best ever kind of early games for the Spectrum. And I had an opportunity. I met the chap who now holds the rights to that game, who's redeveloped it for Android and iOS. And to cut a long story short, that game was supposed to have a novel associated with it, which never happened. And a chat allowed me to get to the point of where I can write the official novel for that one as well. So I've got about 50,000 words of it done so far. And once I get off Premonition, then I will be swapping over to Lords of Midnight.
So it's
awesome.
I think it's safe to say that it was a really good thing that your parents bought you that computer system when you were a kid.
Your what?
The ZX.
I lost you.
They can probably hear him on the chat.
Oh, I said it's probably a good thing that your parents bought you that computer system when you were a kid then.
It is, actually, yeah. Believe it or not, I've still got it. The ZX Spectrum, it's still working last time I tried it. It's actually now on my study wall as a little reminder of those times long past. But
nice.
It's mounted in a protective frame on my wall now with my cassette version of Elite and Lords of Midnight in a little case.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
It's now a little memorial on the study wall. Apparently it does still work, which I haven't got a television I can plug it into anymore.
Yeah, I think you need sort of like the old TV attachments because, I mean, I remember my Apple IIe didn't plug into a regular monitor either. It plugged into one of those green and black monitors that...
yes.
Was it? It was like VGA cable. No, it wasn't VGA. What was the connection on those black and green monitors? I don't even remember now. Was it an RCA connection on the back?
It was probably twine.
Yeah, it was. Baked bean cans and
that
string,
sounds. I was going to say a baked bean can with a very attention string.
Yeah.
Would probably be something like that. It's just a long time ago. I don't recall. So I don't ever know what happened to that Apple IIe that I had either. It's a good idea. I wish I would have it. I'd frame it up on my wall. The thing was.
Well, the nice thing about the Spectrum is it isn't very big, so it sits on the wall quite happily without kind of looking a bit strange.
Yeah, the Apple II would need maybe a much larger frame, if I recall correctly. And of course, everything from childhood, the perspective I have on it is a little off because everything just is bigger than I remember it being, of course, or smaller than I remember it being as a child. Everything seemed much bigger, but yeah, I'd be curious to see one right now. It'd probably have a little bit of a smaller look. There was a sub from Redkin, I think it was. Just hit the subscription button and join the Hawk Flock. There it is, Radskin52, join the Hawk Flock. Thanks for the sub, Radskin, and welcome to the Hawk Flock.
Have this one.
Welcome. And now, the Thargoids will eat your nom nom.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
So, yeah, you're getting a full-on BroCast initiation here with sound effects and all.
Oh, man. Oh, here's a question. I've actually been very curious about this, and I can't remember if I've heard you answer this or not. But Christopher Ractavian wanted to know about the Rift mystery. What did you mean when you said whether it's found depends on who goes looking?
What did I mean? What's the best way to answer that question?
Well, if Commander Josh Hawkins goes looking, he'll never find it.
I think it was
40%.
Basically, what I was trying to imply there is that this is a mystery which is not for the faint-hearted. An awful lot of people, my generation can be very disparaging about younger game players, saying, "Oh, you're all Twitch gamers and you've got no staying power." We had to spend 20 minutes loading the game up, and you jolly well played it for 4 hours because and there is that kind of aspect to it. So, one of the things I observed with the content that Frontier was putting in the game for some of the early exploration stuff is that it was over so fast. Once somebody found it, it was kind of blitzed to death by legions of players, and from the time it was found to the time it was on YouTube and sold was about 30 seconds, it seemed. And so I went away and had to think about that, and was trying to make sure I crafted my story content and mysteries in such a way that couldn't occur. And what I wanted to do was get people to focus on other things in order to solve the mystery. So it's not just a case of min-maxing your ship and getting to the place fastest and discovering the content quickest. You have to take a step back and switch your brain on, and maybe do a bit of homework, if that's not a cruel thing to say, in order to understand what you're seeing. So it doesn't. What I've tried to put in doesn't respond to I need to get past the end of the level type of mentality. So that's what I was trying to say by what's the type of person who goes looking. The type of person who's going to solve this is somebody who can step back and see a bigger picture.
Awesome.
Very interesting. There was another Hawk Flock sub right there. I didn't catch the name. I'm sorry. But whoever it was, thank you very much. And
welcome anyway.
Welcome to the Hawk Flock anyway. Exactly. Let's see. Do we have any other big questions?
Yeah, I've just added another question in it from Corbin Moran of the FGE. Great map maker, Corbin.
Corbin Moran. Okay, so one of the newly discovered settlements in the Formadine Rift reveals that a single female pilot managed to escape in a Signwider. Would that, by any chance, be the same one that later encounters Salome 30 years later?
Am I wrong when I say that this doesn't line up in the timeline? Because those events were 30 years ago, and I think when the woman was in the Formadine Rift, that was way back in the time. I think.
I'm afraid I can't answer that question. You've been encountering these mission logs from the year 3270, and other clues that you've had about the identities of various different people in Reclamation and in the game. You've got most of the stuff there you need to assemble a timeline of events, and you should hopefully be able to start plugging the gaps in that timeline with the stuff that you have. But I do advise people to be very careful and spread their resources around to make sure you're looking at local systems as well.
Goodness, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Every question we ask Drew provides us with one half answer and two more questions.
What I will say is, I really do appreciate all the people who chip into the Formadine Rift thread on the official forums. I mean, some of the tinfoil is quite funny to read, obviously, but there are some people, both there and in a few other places on the forum, who are getting very, very close. It is not impossible to solve, and some people are making some very clever observations, and they're getting close.
On that subject, I'm not sure if you've gotten a chance to look or not, but the Children of Raxxla have actually declassified a lot of their intelligence documents. Wondering if you've got a chance to look at those.
The stuff by Commander Sajima.
Yes, it was that. And there were a couple more theories that were posted as well.
So yes, the some of that stuff is very impressive work, let me say.
I was very impressed as well, especially since I read Reclamation just one day before, and then diving into this whole set of mystery and reference and mythology was amazing.
Well, I mean, what I've done there, I mean, I've built in the clues early on, because the first clue that there was a little bit more going on in the book than perhaps met the eye was that the names of the planets in the Prism system told their own story. And I think a few people spotted that and go, okay, well, it stops at a certain point. Why does it stop at a certain point with the naming? And that leads you on to something else. And that was me trying to give everybody a heads up that there are multiple things going on in this book other than just the story that hopefully will give you a clue as to how to start thinking about things. And a few people have followed that route. And there have been clues that have appeared that have hopefully reinforced that way of thinking. I think the people who spotted the names of the ships that Salome's escort was contained in that were destroyed, that was a confirmation that they were heading in the right direction.
It's so deep. I love it.
I was just thinking about something that you said earlier, Drew, about the benefits. We were talking about the pros and cons of writing within sort of a predefined or pre-existing universe. And you said that one of the benefits, of course, is that a lot of the stuff is already there. It's already created. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to invent it for your story. Would you say that for people who do not play Elite Dangerous, and I don't know how many people read your book that don't play the game. I don't know if that's even something that you would be able to track as an author, but if you don't play Elite Dangerous, if someone were to just pick up your book and start reading it, would they need to have a pre-existing knowledge of what's in the game, or do you go into description and describe a lot of these things regardless?
I deliberately, I worked very hard on that, and I've definitely had a few people review it since who've not been players of Elite. The encouraging thing is that they basically said, it's a great sci-fi story, thanks very much. It's obviously based on a game, and I might even take a look at that game because it looks like a fun thing. But the novel, and I set out right at the beginning, the novel had to work outside of Elite.
Right.
It had to be a novel that you could get into and go, yes, this is a story and enjoy, without needing to know anything about Raxler or the Dark Wheel or Lave or any of the other things that make Elite. It had to work on its own. So I was very strict with myself as one of the requirements I had to write that book, because I kind of knew, partly from from a selfish perspective, I want as many people to read it and enjoy it as possible. I don't want it to be a great book, but if you don't know the game, don't bother kind of thing.
Right.
I wanted it to be a book that would work for anybody who came across and thought, that looks interesting, I might give that a go. But if you knew your Elite, you'd get more out of it. So for those who only play Elite Dangerous, you'll get a certain level of stuff out of Elite Reclamation, which should hopefully make sense. But if you know your Elite from 1984, you'll spot a whole bunch of other stuff in and go, oh yeah, I remember that. And Drew's just reminding us that he played that and we did this and all those things happened in that last 30 years. So somewhere on my blog actually is a list of all the kind of little Easter eggs I put in the book, which were taken from the original games. And there's about 20 or 25 of those particular little nods to previous Elites. And hopefully they were put in so subtly that if you didn't know your Elite, you wouldn't have spotted them and they wouldn't have kind of gone, that looks a bit weird. But for those who knew their Elite, they go, "Oh yeah, I remember that." So yeah, there were lots of levels in the book. I was trying to write a good old-fashioned sort of sci-fi adventure. I wanted the politics to be front and center in there. I wanted the nods to the original game to be in there. I wanted multiple levels of a mystery that I could later develop to be in there. So there was a lot of cross-threading stuff going on in that book when I designed it.
Great. I wanted to just take a second for the people in the chat. I want to apologize that we're not paying as much attention to the chat right now as we would like to, because I see that there's a lot of good stuff being talked about, and there's people asking questions, mostly because we have a lot of questions already written down. So apologize for not paying as much attention to chat as we would like to be able to do right now. Drew's on somewhat of limited time, so we want to get as many of these questions in as possible. The reason I mentioned that is because while I was listening to Drew, I just saw a question from Molitar in there, and I think this is kind of funny. It says, question for Drew, will there be a side story of a commander and his adventures with close proximity to stars? Which I think is just a mention to me for not blowing myself up, but constantly damaging my ship, which is...
You're already in the book, don't get greedy.
There's so much space in the book, I'm afraid.
Oh, man.
Oh, it never ends. They're never going to let that go, though, I swear.
No, you're dead now, aren't you? That's exactly
right. Commander 40% is what
for those folks in the chat who don't get their questions out, if you want to tweet me your question after the event, I'll do my best to work through them. So if it doesn't happen on the stream, then please tweet it at me and I'll do my best to answer it for you.
There we go. And I would assume that is at Drew Wagar on Twitter.
That's right. Yeah, that's the easiest way to get a quick answer.
There you go.
Well, and the advantage of Twitch, if you can't answer it in 140 characters, then you can't have an answer. You see.
Yes, very good.
I would answer that, but there's not enough characters. So but no, genuinely, I will do my best to answer questions. So that's absolutely fine. To be honest, I really enjoy the questions because it gives me an insight into the sort of things that people are fired up about and interested in, which allows me to kind of fine-tune the stories. So the questions and the feedback from the community is invaluable stuff.
Excellent. Well, speaking of questions and time, let me just ask you very quickly, Drew, how much time do you have left comfortably, so we can just sort of figure out how many more questions we can get through with you here?
I've got about 40 minutes, I would say.
40 minutes. Okay. Excellent. I think then we should be able to go through the remainder of the questions, at least all the ones that we have here on this list, and then we may be able to touch on some that are, I'm assuming, in Discord. There must be some new ones in there as well, yes?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Let's go right ahead with a short, quick one.
Sure.
Adurnis asks, your favorite occupation/ship in the game?
Favorite occupation is easy. It's definitely exploration. Right from day one, that was the thing I wanted to do, and I spent some time going around kind of the obvious sites of the galaxy, like the Pleiades and the Orion Nebula and stuff. The stuff that I'd seen from Earth and wanted to visit, which is very cool. Favorite ship? That's I kind of got two, if that's okay.
I think that's perfectly fine.
Because the original Cobra, it has to be it's such an iconic ship for me. I mean, every time I see the original wireframe spinning around, my heart still quickens a little bit. That's my first love, really, the Cobra Mark II. But I must admit, I'm quite taken with my Imperial Clipper at the moment.
So many people say that this is a fantastic ship.
And it's not the best at what it does, but it just looks good. So I forgive it all its faults whenever I take it out and land it on the planet and just sort of boggle it.
I have yet to try it, but I'm striving towards the cutter actually.
Let me ask you. I don't have a Clipper, and I probably asked this Shibuka, but does the Clipper have a centered seat in the cockpit, or is it sort of an off-centered seat like a car would have?
I think it's slightly off-centered, if memory serves.
It's British. Your seat's on the right side.
Oh, okay. It's on the right side.
Yeah, but it's not
on the wrong side,
it's not so obvious. I mean, I tried the Ferdinand rule, and I could not get on with that one because it's too off-center.
Yeah, it's not so much that it's off-center; it's the way that the lines in the cockpit are laid out on the actual windshield.
That drove me potty. So the nice thing about the
absolutely.
Yeah, the nice thing about the Clipper is it's kind of transparent foot going forward in terms of the canopy. So the off-center position, you don't really notice it so much.
Okay, well that's good to know because I wanted to get the Fer-de-Lance and I couldn't do it. I mean I got it in one of the betas. I started flying around with it, and just the way that it's off-centered like that with the lines and the heads-up display, it just threw me off so much I couldn't fly around with it.
I agree with you 100%. I couldn't get on with it either.
It's really unfortunate. It's a very nice ship, great for combat too, but and the Python apparently is like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't notice it so much on the Python.
I love the cockpit of the Python. The cockpit of the Python and the Cobra are my two favorite in the game.
Yeah, I like the Cobra just because it's the Cobra.
Just because. There is another question from Adernis in there that I think is a very good question. I think you'll enjoy answering this one, Drew. So Adernis is a writer as well, and he says, what is your advice for burgeoning sci-fi writers on how to break into the field?
That is a very good question. I can only really speak to the route I took, which was to start with fan fiction. A lot of writers can be very sniffy about it and say, it's not worthy and blah, 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 blah. But I started writing fan fiction for a version of Elite, actually called Olite, which some of you may have heard of. And what I gained out of that was an audience who kind of knew the background, kind of knew the sort of stories that should be told, and were receptive to new stories being told. And they allowed me to write stories in a relatively safe environment that had a readership, allowed me to get critique and feedback, and then allow me to change it as a result, and thus refine the storytelling technique I had. And so I learned more in 5 years of doing that than I'd ever learned on any kind of writing course or academic training or anything like that, because you're getting feedback from people who are basically saying, yeah, I like your story, but and they would be brutally honest about it. So I think Elite Dangerous, as long as you obey the rules for fan fiction and don't try and make any money out of it, just use it for fun and a learning experience for yourself. Elite Dangerous doubtless affords exactly the same opportunity for people to write stuff and push it out to the community, and for the community to go kind of yay or nay on it. You'll find out very, very quickly whether what you're writing is popular or not, because people will tell you straight away. Just be prepared for them to be a bit brutal at times. But it will teach you to do your grammar, do your structure, do your characters, all the basic stuff you need to be a writer, and you'll find the critique and almost the addiction to writing in that context really powerful. So I would definitely personally recommend doing fan fiction in a universe that you are well, as a great place to start. I mean, the Elite universe is perfect because you can start on a somebody with a top end anaconda, or you can start with somebody with a sidewinder that's broken down and doesn't work. You can start at any level on any planet you've got a whole universe there of stuff that you can play with. There's more stories I think, in Elite that can ever be told.
For sure.
If you want to do sci-fi, use that as a springboard. Frontier have got some guidelines somewhere in the forum. I think in the lore and fiction sections. I'll try and dig out a link at some point. It basically says if you want to do something creative, as long as you stick this at the beginning of it, then they're kind of cool with it. So if you write a piece of fan fiction, as long as you disclaim at the top saying basically this isn't sanctioned by Frontier and blah 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 blah, then you can turn it into a PDF and put it on the internet for free, and see what people think, and go from there.
It'll also help you develop a slightly thicker skin, because a lot of creative folk are very precious and sensitive about things. But if you start up in a fan environment like that, you don't put quite as much weight on it. So
yeah. Work up to the brutal rejection letter.
The heartless, cold rejections.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been told, and I don't know. I've been told that you need to write between 500,000 and 1 million of critiqued work rather, before you're kind of any good.
Oh wow! I got a long way to go.
That kind of stacks up with my experience most, because I wrote the original Elite stuff and a few other bits of fan fiction. I wrote kind of, I think, 4 novel-length stories, and they got better quite quickly. I mean, if any of you have read my fan fiction, and they're still on my website somewhere, I think you can get them out, but the early ones aren't really very good, if I'm brutal. And they get better quite quickly.
People saying in chat there that they can see you improving through the
story. and I've improved because the community's given me feedback on it. But if you total that up, there's probably about 600,000 words worth of work there over a period of about 5 years, and that's your apprenticeship basically. There's no shortcut to doing that. You've got to write, and you've got to get better. It's as simple as that.
So just keep writing, basically.
Just keep writing.
And take the criticisms.
Like drawing.
And take
like drawing, you've just
critiques.
got to do it.
Yeah.
It's like anything. You don't just suddenly think, right, I'm going to be a brilliant writer. Or you just can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a pianist or an artist or anything creative. It takes graft and it takes practice. You've just got to keep going. There's no shortcut.
That's it. It's just like any other skill. Just takes practice, and I think that holds true to pretty much anything too. I mean, the more you practice, even if you are absolutely terrible in the beginning, don't give up. We're all born with the same capacity to do anything we want, and it just takes a little bit of time and patience and effort and commitment to continuing doing what you're passionate about. And if you're passionate about it, put in that effort, it's going to pay off eventually. And I think
that's exactly that. That was a very good message for people nowadays as well, because a lot of people go on about so and so talented and they're capable of doing all this sort of stuff. I would rather have a team of people around me who worked hard rather than a team of people around me who are talented.
Yeah.
Because people who will work hard will get there.
Yeah, and
talent on its own doesn't get you anywhere.
Turgeon, Shibuka, myself, anyone who has a YouTube channel can tell you the same thing. I mean, you're going to start with nothing. You're going to start with 0 subscribers and just an idea of something you want to do, and it's the same thing. You just keep pushing at it, and eventually you'll get there. And listen to what people say about it as well. Listen to the feedback. Hear what people are telling you, how you can improve, and don't take the negative as negative. Take it as part of a learning experience, as part of that process of refining whatever it is, whatever art or trade that it is that you want to become better at, and use that to change. Don't just repeat the same thing over and over again. Otherwise, you're not learning, you're not changing, and you won't get any better. Take that critique, take that negative, and turn it into something productive and something positive, and then you will.
We've got our own music writer in chat there, Miguel.
Yeah.
He's just saying that that's what he's doing, writing a bunch of music and getting the feedback from it, because you're using it in your videos now, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Cookie is, yeah.
It's good. And spend time with other creative people, because you'll find that the enthusiasm rubs off on you. The last thing you want is to hang around with people who kind of drain you with enthusiasm.
Oh, I know.
Get a bunch of enthusiastic people around you, and that's again something that the elite community is really, really good, because if you get along to any of the conventions in the UK, and hopefully there'll be others in the rest of the world at some point too. you meet people who are doing stuff, and it could be music, it could be it could be drama, it could be YouTube, it's Twitch, all these things, and they're all trying to figure out better ways of doing things, and swapping ideas in that kind of environment is really healthy for your brain as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We actually had great fun doing our crossover episodes, didn't we? That was monstrously creative time we had with those.
It really was. I mean, that was kind of where Turgeon and Shibuka and I just started our whole bonding process, I suppose, was through these crossover episodes and bouncing ideas off each other.
A 4-episode build-up just so that we could do the crossovers. I had to specifically craft 4 episodes of stories so that it would gel with all of them.
And it's
great fun.
Super helpful.
It played out phenomenal.
Yeah, it's super helpful when you have other creative and talented and hardworking people around you to discuss your ideas with as well. So it's very true. I guess, like I said, the same thing is going to apply in any type of art or project that you do.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, answer. I have a couple questions that I want to get answered real quick before we do the book giveaway.
Okay.
Groot wanted to ask if the Heart and Soul Nebula has any significance when it comes to the mystery of the Rift.
Oh, the Heart and Soul Nebula is front and center to the Rift. Yes,
I would say so as well. Yeah,
it's mixed up in it in all sorts of ways, and lots of the clues have been related to it. So yes, very much so.
Also wanted to ask Sajim, who released that the all mythology forum thread and everything. He wanted to know where Luco has been and what he's up to.
That is a very good question. You will have to wait for the book for that one.
I might have to say that Luco is, I think, my favorite character from the book. He's just so lovely.
I've been surprised by him actually, because Luco is actually based on my aunt, who is an Italian English teacher. At least he was before he retired. And his English is to an English person is appalling.
Why?
But he teaches English extremely well to his Italian students, which is quite funny. So he was kind of based on my uncle a bit. But no, Luco as a character, he hasn't been telling the truth in Elite Reclamation. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I assumed that much. But I will say though, when he and Salome first met together on that planet, I won't give any spoilers away, but when they got to his ship and everything, the exchanges they had, I was dying.
Yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic.
But why would you spell his short name Luco with a K when his Italian name is actually
this again?
This is a real bee in your bonnet, isn't it?
It is.
A real bee in your bonnet.
Well,
we had this conversation yesterday.
The name is actually based on, believe it or not, the name Luco is actually based on an Italian taxi driver who once took me from the center of Rome to Rome's Fiumicino airport in 25 minutes. And for those of you who know Rome, that is nothing short of miraculous.
Pointless gamer just joined.
I asked him his name, and he said it is Luciano Prestigio Giovanni. And
I love it.
And actually, that's probably the story. Basically, was that we were coming out of Rome. I was doing a demonstration of some computer software, and we had to catch this flight. And we had this taxi who was called for us. We jumped in the back of this taxi, saying we must get to the airport in half an hour. The plane is waiting for us. We must go. We're late. And this taxi driver just looked round at us, grinned, flexed his hands on the steering wheel, and it was like he'd been waiting his entire life for this moment.
It's like Formula One time.
And I don't know what he was driving. It was some Fiat, and it was a rubbish car. It was a Fiat saloon car, nothing special at all. But he stuck it into first gear. He floored the throttle. He let the clutch up. The wheels span, and we were off. And he was driving around roundabouts the wrong way. He was overtaking on the inside and the outside. And it was utterly terrifying.
The best taxi driver ever.
The best taxi driver ever. So that's the character of Luco is a bit based on my uncle. The name came from some poor taxi driver. So I hope he's still alive.
Loco.
So kind of I conflated the two ideas into character. But the scene where Salome first encounters his ship, of course she doesn't know what a cobra is, but anybody reading the book would know what a cobra was. And it was my little way of kind of trying to remind everybody that the cobra, i.e. the game, hasn't been around for 20 years. And it's sort of been hanging around in a dark cavern for that length of time. So there was this cobra sort of dilapidated thing, and then she says, it's almost a sort of Princess Leia Han Solo moment where she says, "You came in that?" And and Luco gets obviously very indignant because it's his lovely ship, but it was all based on this sort of Italian taxi driver originally.
Excellent.
What other question do we have in there? Let's see.
There is. I did notice one that's been added in the Discord channel. I was asking, where was it now? Are there any translations planned for your books?
Translations are really difficult. I would absolutely love there to be translations. The problem is you kind of need a local publisher to pick it up. And the problem with translations is you're generally talking, several £100 just for a few words, because the time taken is extraordinary, and it's quite a complicated thing to translate, particularly if you want to retain all the original meanings and things. So you need a local publisher in a country that's prepared to invest in the work to translate the novel, and then obviously recoup that hopefully in sales of the novel. And those conversations are to be had, but so far we don't have publishers in other countries that have expressed an interest in doing it, I'm afraid.
We've got a lot of bilingual people in the community. I wonder if they could help somehow.
You could always.
I mean, certainly for Reclamation, if people are genuinely interested, and translating a book that is 130,000 words long, there's no small thing. We're not talking about a few kind of blog articles here. You're talking about something that will take a fair whack of time.
Take you time as well, of course, because you have to make sure that the message is accurate.
Well, I mean, for me, I don't know how to check.
You would have to trust. That's true.
Really liaising with
suddenly becoming an expert in that. So, but yes, I mean, if people, certainly in the case of Reclamation on my other books, if people are genuinely interested in doing that, and there's a way forward, then certainly make contact with me. But it's a tricky thing. I would love to see it happen.
There's an idea for you. I've seen it recently in YouTube subtitles coming up, that you have this kind of peer process of translating them, so people can give their translations to YouTube, and then they kind of like coordinate, and you get those rather well done translations, because several people did basically the same translation. And you get those well done translations. Of course, for a whole book, it's kind of a different story.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
Because you kind of need the same sort of translation to be going through the whole book. Otherwise, you run the risk of it.
Acquire
differently translated. Yeah.
I would like to take this opportunity, since we are getting close to the end of the BroCast, as a matter of fact, to get everyone's name in for the draw. So what we are going to do is we're going to ask people to put in the chat the word premonition in honor of Drew's next book. Now, please, folks, do this one time only. I'm going to copy and paste all of the premonitions in there. Let's refrain from any other comments in the chat in the meantime. And please don't put it in twice, because if I see it twice, I'll delete your name. One time only, please, and then we will do a draw and see who exactly is going to be the lucky person to get a copy of Drew's book. Oh, there's a lot.
We got 340 people watching. What do you expect?
Yep. let's get. I want to see 340 premonitions put in there. Then.
Well, this is why Ed has some sort of strange randomisey picky thing on his live streams, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't have one of those randomisey picky things. What I do is I copy and paste it all in. And
you have the monotasking Hawkins brain.
I do a random picky thingy, which there is another way to do it randomly. I assure you, there is another way to do it randomly.
Eyes closed, mouse wheel, scroll up and down.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
There you go.
Usually what I do is I get Commander Shannon Day in here, and she just goes ahead and goes, that one. So
sticks her finger on the screen.
We could do that as well. That would be another way to do it. I'm going to wait just another minute to see because some people are watching live, but they're a little bit behind. But it looks like it's slowed down. So we're going to give this just 30 more seconds here to get your premonitions put in there, and then we will go ahead and pick one at random.
I've spotted a few premonitions there that weren't spelt right either. So they
yeah, they don't count. Yeah, I see one. Premonition.
I'm sorry, but your spelling was inadequate.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Your spelling is not very good for this. We cannot put you in contest. Okay. All right, we're going to close it off there. The last one is in. Okay, let's copy and paste all the way back up to the very top of the premonition list here. There is a whole lot of people that would like a copy of your book, Drew, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's good.
Copy. All right, we're not taking any more, so if you put your name in now, it is not going to make any difference. There are a whole lot. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm scrolling my wheel down through about a million gazillion pages, and let's see where it ends up. Hey, Turgeon, can we get some Jeopardy music, or do you have anything like that?
I planned on having.
So
depending, all I've got is the elevator music, and that's not really appropriate.
Boom.
Who's it gonna be?
Boom, 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 boom. And it stops at, stop scrolling. There we go. Callum Blake.
Callum Blake.
Congratulations, Callum Blake. You are going to get a signed copy of Drew Wagar's book. We don't know which book it's going to be, but it's going to be one of the books to be discussed and announced. So, Callum, what we're going to ask you to do is please make sure to join in on our Discord channel. Turgeon could put a link in there. And we'll ask you to join in on Discord. It's very easy. You don't have to download the client. You can just go through the browser, and we'll have you message us your details. Your details.
Oh Lord!
We'll have you message us your details so that we can go ahead and make arrangements that once the book is autographed and signed, and whichever book it happens to be picked, we will have it shipped over to you. So very big congratulations, Callum, and Shibuka.
Yeah, congratulations, Callum. Well done.
I'm just wondering, Shibuka, you know the thing.
Yeah.
You know the thing that we were talking about. The thing.
Yeah. I know the thing.
Well, because we're getting right up to the end of the thing. Should we do the thing? The thing.
Yeah, we can do the thing.
Can we do the thing? Okay.
We can do the thing.
Okay. So hold on one second, because I mean I know that Drew has not been privy to the information that we're discussing here, of course, but I'm just wondering if I think we could still do the thing.
I say we do the thing.
You say we do the thing? Okay, so
I say we do the thing.
Okay, hold on a second. We'll do the thing in just a second. I have to just kind of get the thing. The thing is not ready, but you know. Okay,
Lord.
So sorry about the mystery. Okay,
just more tinfoil for today.
Yeah, more tinfoil. So anyhow, Shibuka had an announcement he wanted to make, so I think we should let Shibuka make his announcement.
Yeah, so super excited to tell you guys that
Shibuka?
The Thargoid's got it.
Yeah, I think the Shibuka? Hello? Oh, what the hell?
There?
What the hell? Hold on. Yeah, that's right, folks. We're going to PAX. Well, I hope you guys like that little reveal. That was our surprise announcement. So, Shibuka and I are going to PAX. We're going to be Elite Dangerous ambassadors at PAX East in Boston from the 9th of March till the 12th. So, sorry about keeping you in the dark on that one, Drew. We just had a little.
No, that's cool. I mean, congratulations. You will have a blast doing that. It's really hard work, but you will have a blast.
Well, we're very excited, and I mean, neither one of us is opposed to hard work. Shibuka's just got a baby, so I mean, hard and dirty work.
The wife, though, so everything is good.
Yep. And so, yeah, if you guys are, if anyone, actually, I'm kind of curious who here in the chat is going to be coming to PAX. I'd love to know. And we'll look forward to meeting you guys at PAX. Shibuka and I will both be there. We're going to be Elite Dangerous ambassadors. What that means exactly, well, I don't entirely know what it means, but we've talked to Ed Lewis and a bunch of the people at Frontier, and they've basically said that they do want us to do some streaming. So you're going to have a live BroCast from PAX with Ed Lewis on the BroCast with us.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! And I was talking about this in one of my previous live streams. I do intend on starting up a vlog, which I actually started filming a little bit of today, and I'm going to do that right up until PAX and then through PAX as well. So that's something new that will be coming to my YouTube channel in the next, I don't know, a week or so. We'll probably start. I'll probably start putting that vlog up on there. So hopefully we'll see some of you guys in Boston. March 9th to March 12th is when PAX is going on. And yeah, Josh, make sure you're not on Trump's banned list. Yeah, well, that's true. We'll see what's going to happen. I mean, as far as I know, they haven't banned Canadians except for Canadians with dual citizenship with one of those banned countries, which I am not. Fortunately, I'm just a normal Canadian citizen with no...
Well, you got a couple of months. I'm sure it'll expand it by then to
we'll
third generation.
See, yeah. I don't know how that's all going to happen. So we're got my fingers crossed that... you know, I'll still be able to make it into the U.S. So.
I do want to tell everyone that that little announcement thing, there is no binary hidden in that static, so please don't look for it.
Just a naked image of Shibuka.
I had someone from the Children of Raxla ask me, was there binary hidden in that static? No, there's no binary hidden in that static.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The committee is conditioned already.
Yep. This is a problem actually with all the clues, because everyone assumes there's way more in some of the things than there actually are.
Yeah.
It's
the tinfoil is strong.
It's hard to figure out what you need to read into, what you don't. I admit that I get carried away, but.
That's the fun part.
We scrutinize and dissect everything nowadays that comes out, and who knows? Well, I mean, now we've got a new Alien Rune site as well, so we'll have to see what information this new site gives us in terms of, you know, the planetary body and its location and wherever it is. I saw the name of it. I'm going to have to go check it out and see where it is, and then we'll cross-reference that. I'm sure Canon's already all over that, of course, seeing what similarities there are between the planets, maybe coordinates and whatnot. And hopefully that will help us find the other Alien Rune sites that are out there as well, which, I mean, we can kind of assume will look like the last one. You never know, right? You never know.
Yeah.
So, do we have any last questions for Drew? I think there was one or two that were left.
We've been adding them in the channel there. Yeah.
There's one from Lexigmize, Lightning Wing. Says, how many books do you have planned for Shadeword? I've really enjoyed the first 2 books.
There will definitely be 2 more. The original story is 4 books long, so we're halfway through it at the moment. I'm hoping to get back to writing Shadeword 3 once I finish Lords of Midnight, which is
soon.
I'm probably gonna. I guess I'd start writing Shadeword 3 hopefully before the end of this year. I'll start it again. So it's probably summer next year at the earliest, I would say, I'm afraid, due to all the other stuff that suddenly came up. But it'll definitely be 4 books. I may do some prequels to it as well. We'll see how it goes.
Awesome.
Here is
Excellent.
another question from Commander Tokoso. It says, any clues to how far ahead Frontier have planned for story and universal development? Are things set in stone that you have to follow, or is the future still fluid and open to player interaction / ideas?
Mixture of both, actually. There's definitely some stuff that is planned and done and out there that will influence the future, and players will encounter it bit by bit. But players definitely have an impact. The best example of that, well, the two good examples of that is, you may recall a few years ago there was a faction in the game called the Emperor's Dawn. Frontier had quite a lot of stuff prepped for that, which all got trashed because the players wiped them out, which was quite amusing. And the whole story around Colonia is being driven by player activity that wasn't initially planned in that sort of way. So that's a response to what players are doing more than it was a planned piece of kind of artifact for the in-game stuff. So yeah, so if players cause things to happen, then Frontier does respond to those things, and may allow players to generate sort of stuff based upon it. So keep doing stuff in the universe. It does happen.
Keep doing stuff, guys. Don't stop.
One very specific question. I do not know if you can answer that, but was Jacques' misjump a direct consequence of people UA bombing him in beforehand? So could he actually have made it to Beagle Point?
I don't know the answer to that question, actually. It's a good question. He certainly was, I think, expected to make it to Beagle Point at one point, because certainly there's some indications given to the Distant Worlds expedition that he would eventually arrive out. And they were kind of hanging around waiting for him to turn up. But then obviously everything went wrong. Whether that was to do with players UA bombing, I don't know. It could have been. But I'm not sure.
Here is a question from Maximilian Reach. He said, how long might the production of the audiobook for Premonition take after the release, and will we see it narrated by Commander Josh Hawkins? I just added that last part in.
I'm gonna be honest.
I don't think I can afford
that long.
Oh, he's cheap, believe me.
The audiobook, if there's going to be one for Premonition, that will be up to Frontier to define it. It's the arrangement for the second book is a bit different to the first one, because the first one was kickstarted kind of by me, and then I found a publisher in Fantastic Books who pulled it together into the various different editions, and we ran a secondary Kickstarter in order to turn it into an audiobook. The Premonition book has kind of been commissioned by Frontier, so it's kind of up to them the different formats it comes out in. So if we, the fans, demand an audiobook, then they will respond to it. I'll definitely be pushing one, because my own stats tell me that the number of audiobook copies have sold is almost exactly the same as the number of ebook copies sold. The audiobooks seem phenomenally popular, which I guess people can listen to them in the car and on long journeys and all that kind of good stuff. So
you mean in the spaceship, right?
In the spaceship, yeah.
In the car.
Oh, yeah, like you say, I was exploring all that. Yeah, I think. I mean, I'll be making that case to Frontier, but I think, and I may get fans to organise themselves a little bit and kind of raise a bit of a ruckus at the time, because I think it would go down really, really well, and it would be a great thing to have. So, for fingers crossed, we'll be able to get an audio production of it too.
I saw that Reclamation, the audiobook, was produced by Christopher Jarvis, who also did the Escape Velocity series on his own website. And I really enjoyed that, because I actually recognized his style of producing the whole thing.
Yeah, he's an amazing talent, Chris Jarvis. He did a fantastic job with all those audiobooks, and Escape Velocity, if you haven't listened to it, is really worth having. And it's I think it's kind of official now as well. I don't think it's canon in the sense that anything that happens in Escape Velocity is canon to the Elite universe, but I think it's kind of now been accepted as a kind of official type of production. I'm not quite sure what the deal there was, but certainly Chris has now got the ability to continue on with it with kind of Frontier's blessing. So definitely worth listening to that, and he does an amazing job with the the production. And of course, we were lucky enough for Reclamation to get Toby Longworth, who's a bit of a sci-fi wizard himself. He played one of the aliens in Star Wars, and he'd done a lot of work for Doctor Who, and he did the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy narration. So there's some, he's got some pretty good sci-fi credentials himself. So it was a massive boon to get him for Elite Reclamation.
It is excellent, yeah.
Drew, we have time for one very last question. This is from Celebrin, and she says, how do you pronounce Salome?
I pronounce it Salome, with a slightly softer E, Salome. But that's not. I'm quite happy that people pronounce things the way that works for them, because it's not an English name, and it will move around in lots and lots of different pronunciations in different countries and so on and so forth. So I say Salome.
Look at that.
But not salami.
The first, I swear to you, Drew, the first time Josh tried to say Salome or Salome or whatever, he literally said salami.
Salami. Did I say salami?
I've heard salami, and I've heard salame, and I've heard all sorts of things. I say Salome. But that's just how I pronounce it.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is that time where I ask you to put the salute symbol into the chat. We will say goodbye to all of you viewers, and then we'll say a quick thank you to our guest. So let's go ahead and get everything in there. And Drew, you'll have to bear with me here for a second while I do my very darndest to read through all of the names. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
All of them?
Renata Slam, Veiled Rover, Falcones, Commander Rod Waiter, the Cookie Rebel, Spooky Lot, Alan Enlow, Disco Cat, Charles McManamy.
Look at the speed of that.
Hang on, I already lost it. Axel Lab, Scalebags, Apache 45, Cathena, Matt's Galaxy, Captain Pip, Lone Wolf, Torowav, Jerome W, Chris Chandler, Maximilian Reach, Top Blazer, Commander Sinclair Research, Mancoon Crest, Kushan Gaiman, Nathan Muzinski, Andy P.
You're going to have to find
John
a better
Percy,
way.
Arno, Jeremiah, Fieldhaven, Rodney Peters, Phoenix Blue, Frogster, Andrew Proximal Gaming, Killers at the Dork, Matthew D, C3 Kikio, Aaron Edgar. Oh my god, it's scrolling way too fast.
It's okay, Josh. Yeah, that was a valiant effort, but I don't think it's going to happen.
It was a good effort, yes.
You did an amazing job. That was awesome.
Oh, there's so many in there, I can't even keep up. But thank you guys, all of you, for watching. Yeah. Thank you for being a part
last
of the...
Last orders, please.
Yes,
haven't you got homes to go to?
Thanks for being a part of the BroCast, all of you viewers. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you guys next week. Of course, check back on the channel on a regular basis, because there's going to be other live streams and other things going on. Make sure to leave that thumbs up if you like the show, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, so you get notifications. Turn on the little notification, little bell that's right next to it. That way you will get notifications. Turgeon, Greatest, Shibuka, as always, you guys are my bros.
It was a pleasure.
And Drew, thank you very much for coming on the show with us today.
That was an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you very much for having me on the show, and thanks to all the people who turned up and listened as well. Always a pleasure to interact with the community, and you guys make this game and everything else around it all it is. So well done. Brilliant
thank you very much, and I'm sure that we will reach out to you at some point once Premonition comes out, and maybe have you back on here for an announcement of the release or something. That would be awesome. Those lines.
Definitely.
There will certainly be some discussion around the new book. So we wish you the best of luck with the book, of course, and the continued writing of the book. And thank you very much for being a part of our show. Anyhow, that's pretty much it for the show. We hope to see you guys all next week, and of course at PAX East in March. Robert Arrowsmith, thanks for joining the Hawk Flock. Hooray! And that's a wrap, guys. Thanks for everything. Commander Josh Hawkins signing off.
Adios.